Hi, friends, and welcome to Screen Vomit, the only movie podcast for normal people. I'm, of course, your host, Kayla, and guess what? It's the 3-year anniversary of Screen Vomit, so that's badass, to be honest. And if you like the show, you can follow me on Instagram and everywhere else at Screen Vomit, one word on all the things. Send me an email at screenvomitpod@gmail.com. You can also support the show by following the Patreon at patreon.com/screenvomit. There is also full video recording of this episode up on there currently, so check that out. And today, baby, oh my god, we got 2 filmmakers on the pod, filmmaking duo of Josh Pikovsky and Jordan Tetewsky. They write and direct movies together. They have a feature, Hannah Haha, out right now doing festivals, so check that out. You can follow their feature on Instagram at Hannah Haha Movie to see where that's going to be. We did accidentally talk too much before recording, so some of the preamble is kind of in here. You'll figure it out. Anyway, here's our conversation.
You're doing the good deeds, seeking out short films. It's a
I guess so.
hard thing to find, an audience for any short film. So
yeah, that is true.
We thank you.
Yeah.
Basically, I sit on my ass and watch a lot of TV, and then people just go, "Thank you so much, you're amazing," and I go, "Me? Okay."
Oh yeah, no. When we saw you'd watch the shorts, we were stunned that anybody had seen them. We're like, oh man, this is crazy. Not only someone watched them, but they seem to like them. That's
Aww.
Yeah. We're not used to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen most. I just, Jordan saw one short on your Vimeo that I hadn't watched, but I think I've seen everything else. The one, I don't remember what it's called now because I just saw it. It's 20 minutes
66?
long. No, I've seen that one. That was actually the first one.
Baloo Viance.
Yeah, that's
we don't talk about that one.
We don't talk about that. Okay.
That's getting
Was that a student? Sure.
It's just it's 7 years old, so it's
prehistory.
Yeah.
So it's archived.
Yeah.
We don't talk much like the first 20 episodes of my podcast.
Now that you're bringing it up, I'm gonna.
Take it off. I want to watch it first.
I just gotta quickly delete the video. Give me a second.
No, at least make it private. Don't delete it. You may want to.
Okay, make it private, but send me the password.
I just got rid of the hard drive recently, so I gotta.
So yeah, I saw Sharon 66 first. I think was that on No Budge or something?
It was our last No Budge allowance.
What does that mean?
They after that it was they rejected Hannah in April, which is formerly Hannah Haha, the short film.
Right.
And it was a tough day.
Aw. Well, you'll get another one on there. Maybe they'll put the feature on.
Josh, why don't you add to this? Give us your thoughts on this.
I got no thoughts on this.
He has a lot of thoughts that he's not going to say.
We really should probably wait till we start the podcast.
Yeah, I got to save it for the pod. I've never been on a podcast before.
Oh, is this not part of the podcast?
No.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm not trying to prolong...
but I can put it in there.
Yeah, put it in the podcast.
Okay, we'll put it in the pod.
Let me have final cut on your podcast, and I'll.
Yeah, you don't have to grant him final cut.
If you want to just edit it for me, I will gladly give you the job.
Yeah, I'm quick.
Editing easily the worst part.
I keep everything in, as you saw.
Oh yeah. I'm the opposite. I cut everything out.
We used every single shot of every film we've ever made.
Oh yeah, nothing on the floor. Yeah.
Exactly.
Making great use of your time. Hell yeah. Shot chronologically, just beginning to end, everything in.
Very little editing. We just
it's actually edited in camera. We have to cut precisely when we want. If you've never noticed a jarring cut, it's because of that process.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm also editing this.
You know who else did that?
Huh?
What? You know who else did that? That guy who did Hard to Be a God just used every fucking shot he did.
Well, that I can believe.
Endless.
Yeah.
This movie was
okay.
endless.
Don't talk about the movie yet. We have to save it. We have to save it. First of all, you have to shut up.
Yeah.
And so we're recording.
I am Jordan Tetewsky.
Yeah, I'm Josh Pikovsky.
All right, and we're on ScreenVomit. Hello.
Hey.
Absolute clowning before the recording mark. We'll see how much of the pre ends up in the pod, but hello, we're now in ScreenVomit. So welcome to the pod, y'all.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Now they're shy.
I'm not shy. I liked a lot of that stuff from before, though.
You liked it better than the during so far. That's
No,
your
I just thought
review.
it was good. I just thought it was good stuff.
It was good stuff. So we were talking about your films and specifically how they've been rejected from major platforms.
No budge. No
Go
budge with the
on.
platform. Short of the week. There's one other, I think, but it wasn't as
Yeah, this is our time to air our list of grievances.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Jordan's gonna.
It's public. Put them on blast.
Yeah.
But you're still doing stuff with your feature, so who knows where that'll end up. Right?
Seattle, Luca, Sarasota.
So you do know specifically where it will end up.
And then we got some others coming up too.
So specifically, these are the locations where your film Hannah Ha will be. True?
Yes.
Okay, hell yeah.
Are you you're in Indiana though? So
I'm in Indiana,
Got it.
but I've already seen it twice, and I
know.
have the
Thank you for watching it.
I have
twice.
the secret
thanks.
code.
Thanks
it
for
twice.
watching it at all. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I sent Kayla a rough cut, I think, back in September or something.
Yeah, a long time ago. I don't remember when exactly, but yeah, it was a while back. And, people send me links to stuff they're working on that I don't know fairly regularly. People just send me their shit. But I will say there's not a lot of the time that it is good. So it's always refreshing when it is.
Wow.
So you saw an early cut of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
was sending that link to everyone, but I'm not supposed to say that.
Yeah, the early cut. Did you see you saw the later cut?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I watched
yeah.
it at Slam
Slam
Dance,
Dance.
too.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay. Just 'cause there's I'd say
Is the cut
it
that's on the Vimeo link, is that updated or is that still the rough cut?
No, that's updated
Okay.
now. But when you had initially seen it,
Yeah.
it was in early
Yeah.
form when we were struggling with it. Not come to
Yeah.
peace.
It never
But you
seemed
seem
like
to
a
like the
struggle.
rough. You liked the rough cut, right?
Yeah, it was good.
Amazing.
And I watched the short
Thanks for
version
watching it twice
before.
too.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to see how different it was.
Very
And
different, right?
I didn't remember. I mean, because there was like months in between when I saw it
Yeah.
initially and when I saw it again. And to me, it seemed more or less the same. I guess it probably was a lot different, but I just had lost a lot of the details at that point. I wasn't watching it every day like y'all.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
But I'm sure like the major story and all that was basically the same and everything like that. And like structurally,
Yeah.
But that's cool. Thanks for watching it.
Yeah. Thank you,
I forget how I even came across
James Rundy.
Rundy. Oh yeah, did he rate it on Letterboxd or something?
He rated it on Letterboxd. Yeah, he rated the Hannah and April short, which was formerly Hannah Ha Ha, and then I think he shot it your direction, and then
Yeah, well, I love James Rundy's shorts so much. I wanted to see what he likes to watch. I guess that sounds
only
kind of
interaction
perverted when I say it that way, but
My only interaction with him on Letterboxd was on Letterboxd where I started following him because he reviewed one of our movies, and then I left an unpleasant comment on his review of the Beatles documentary, which I hadn't seen.
you dragged him.
Yeah, because he said that he was clearly anti-Paul,
Okay.
and
you're pro Paul. You take a pro Paul stance.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the documentary, so for all I know, there's a lot of negative stuff about Paul in there, but I just felt like I couldn't.
I feel
let it
mostly negative about Paul.
Uh-oh.
I like John. I think John's the good egg in that.
Well, you got to watch the documentary.
Have you heard John
Isn't he
Lennon?
like abusive or something though?
Oh yeah,
That's not the part I like about John Lennon. He just wrote a handful of these like really good songs,
Yeah.
And he was a good guitar player.
You think he's a great guy because he wrote a couple good songs.
I didn't
Yeah.
say he was a guy. Is that what I
Best
said?
member of the Beatles.
Yeah, in hot water already,
My
Jordan.
favorite.
Yeah, that's where I start easing out of frame. You know,
Audio gets quieter and quieter.
yeah.
Damn. All right, I gotta watch the doc. Thank you, James Runda, for the recommendation.
I think it's Rundy, though.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out when he comes on the pod, James.
Oh, he's
Shout
on
out.
the podcast soon?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
So tell me about your meet cute. What's you guys' story? You guys make movies together, but what's your origin story?
We grew up in the same town, and we met in 6th grade, so we've known each other for a long time.
You met, but how?
Let's talk about the big beats of our
I don't really remember. We were both, I think, just odd kids.
Josh was an antagonist, and I was a protagonist.
Okay.
And I had a hero's arc in 6th grade where I stomped on his leg and suffered no consequences. And 7th grade, contentious. We played While My Guitar Gently Weeps at a cabaret show together.
Yeah, we were in a band together briefly.
Oh, yeah?
I was the Lennon and he was the Paul.
Yeah.
We're going to reference the Beatles.
That's right, yeah.
Wait, you were the John again?
Yeah, why would you...
We just had this conversation.
Yeah.
I was the Ringo. I was like,
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
I was kind of the.
He's clean. Yeah.
Yeah. Ringo
I was kinda
innocent.
I had nothing to say in the band.
Yeah, I think we sort of were kind of like in and out of being friends, you know, and then I think near
Josh
the end of high
didn't come
school.
to my bar mitzvah.
Oh,
I
okay. Holding on to that one.
Yeah, we'll save that for later. I think so. We've just known each other a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact, you know. I do remember talking a lot about Stephen King in middle school, though. That's like my only real memory of 6th grade. It's just bonding over heaven.
Yeah, I was reading like
Stephen
the
King.
worst Stephen King book.
You're reading Eyes of the Dragon.
Yeah, exactly. And I looked up from the bust and I was like, it's so easy to get lost in Stephen King's brilliant writing. Some shit like that. And Josh had read like The Stand and I was reading the children's book he wrote.
And you've been besties ever since.
That's right.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a
You
lot
were
of
on again, off again.
Yeah.
We've said he didn't go to your bar mitzvah.
Best frenemies, right? Is that the expression?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you stay in frenemyship now?
Nah.
Yeah. No?
Oh, I was gonna say it segued into a stable relationship.
Yeah, a functional working relationship, you know.
Just strictly professional.
Yes, yeah, we never talk outside of movies.
Okay. I don't talk outside of movies either, not really.
Yeah, well, I guess when you think about it, we really mostly just talk about movies, but
Yeah.
but in a friendly way.
I'm just curious. Do you make stuff as well, Kayla, or are you mostly a viewer, a critic? Where are you on this? Like, do you also make stuff or?
No. Well, I used to be a musician, so in some ways I made stuff. But no, I don't make anything in terms of film. No. I've thought about it, but
It's just so cool because you like watch short films, which is something that like is very niche to like I think filmmakers specifically, and it's like I just don't hear a lot of people who are not in the film world watching shorts
true.
as a thing. So it's
I respect.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
I have a huge respect for short films, for creativity in general. I think I respect above all else, and I think short films are a huge purveyor of creativity because you have to be creative with. In many ways, and more so than features even in some ways. Like, you have to be more creative with your budget. You have to be more creative with your time. Like, how you tell a story in less than 20 minutes, less than 5 sometimes, depending. You know, like, I think that's sick, and that there's a lot more variance in short films than there is in a lot of other visual arts and a lot of other visual material.
I wish more people thought like that, you know, because it'd be nice if we could just make shorts, and continue making shorts because they're faster to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of like time and commitment you need to, because we only really did shorts for a bit because the amount of time, commitment, money, organization you need to pull off a feature. There is sort of this accessibility bar.
How long did Hannah take you guys?
Well, Hannah,
this is a different,
it was very fast. We basically filmed the Hannah and April short in March.
Not the short, the feature.
Well, we filmed the short in March, and then in April, we basically wrote the script.
No, in May. In April, we had a bunch of shitty ideas.
Oh, yeah. I guess we wrote an awful script that failed. Then in May, we wrote the feature script for Hannah Haha. And then
in June, we were like, all right, we're going to make this. Here's when we're going to do it. And we just made up the dates without really having anything together, and then just sort of forced it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it came together kind of fast.
And then we just kept talking in pre-production, like, we have to win Sundance. We have to win.
We're setting achievable goals for ourselves.
Well, you basically won Slam Dance, though.
Sorry, but not Sundance, cool. Just for clarity.
Yeah, Jordan's still upset.
Slam Dance is the cool Sundance, though.
That is true. That is true.
And for clarity, I am joking. We didn't think we were going to win anything, so...
Yeah, we really didn't. Yeah, the Slam Dance one was incredibly unexpected.
We were actually expecting, when you watch the rough cut, to be like, this isn't going to win Slam Dance or any festival. But you didn't say that, and that encouragement helped.
Not saying anything helped you go forward.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember if I gave you any feedback after I watched initially. I don't remember. Maybe you do. What were we saying? DIY filmmaking. I respect DIY too.
Yeah, the feature was very DIY.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a lot of like improvisation, both in terms of acting and in terms of just decision
rewriting
making.
On the spot.
Yeah, rewriting on the spot, like shifting things around.
Yeah.
Recasting suddenly, things like that.
Hell yeah.
There is it's very stressful, but in retrospect, now that you have the rose tinted glasses, it's there's a lot of nostalgia to it, and there's sort of a satisfaction to be able to pull it off. That at the time, I definitely think it probably shaved a year off our lives.
I disagree. I feel.
You think it added one to your life?
I don't know. I mean, I was on my way out, and then we made that, and now I have reason to live.
Damn. Okay. My man was gonna pass, and now he's alive. So that's what movies can do for you.
Yeah, if I'd known the stakes were that high, I would have worked a lot harder earlier on to
would have taken
a feature.
You would have given a few more years of your life.
Yeah.
Should we get into the movie for today? We probably should.
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all have picked this film, and I don't know which one of you has, but we're going to talk about that.
We're very sorry. We feel enormous guilt at the decision we made that brought us here. I do regret we couldn't watch Inherent Vice, but Jordan vetoed it strongly.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't say I pushed for Hard to Be a God, though. It was
that's true. It was a compromise.
It was neither of us really wanted to watch it, and then
Hard to Be a God is this situation is a really funny microcosm of our decision making process. We make decisions together, because I wanted Inherent Vice because I've seen it, love it, love the book. Jordan wanted Son of Saul, he's seen it, loves that movie. And these movies could not be more different, and the way we compromised was we chose this movie.
2013 Russian film Hard to Be a God. So how did you even find
we
this
were
movie?
both pitching 70s films, and one of the requirements
against
was
my rules.
Yeah, I know, and so we were really struggling because we both have a list of 70s movies that if you were to Venn diagram, all our interests are only in that era. So we came to Hard to Be a God, and
I guess we both have I remember around when it came out, us watching the trailer forever ago, in college, and just talking about it. Had you heard of the movie before, Kayla?
No.
Okay. Yeah, sorry again.
It's got a really strong trailer, but
yeah, I think I'd heard of it for a while. 'Cause it's based on a Russian
Strugatsky book.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, Strugatsky novel, and my dad, my parents are Russian, or they're from Ukraine technically, but they grew up reading this stuff, and so like I actually read this book, but a long time ago when I was younger. So that, like I know the story from that.
Did you have more context, do you think, than
only slightly, because I don't remember the book very well, but it's one of my dad's favorite books. But it's also like they wrote the book that Tarkovsky's Stalker was based on. So yeah, there's a lot of like iconic Russian sci-fi that kind of stems from them. And this movie, I guess, is technically sci-fi.
Just technically.
Yeah, like the main. Yeah.
Kayla, are you a fan of Andrei Rublev by chance?
No, I mean I don't know who that is.
No, the movie Andrei Rublev. It's
Bill didn't know.
It's like a much better film.
Rublev?
If you're looking, Andrei Rublev is a better movie.
Just in general, or like, is there a tie?
Well, there was like I had promised my roommate who watched it with me like an Andrei Rublev-esque experience, you know, because all the promotional materials described it as like
okay.
Andrei Rublev, but for the millennials.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know.
So neither of you had.
That's true.
No, neither of you had seen this film. You'd just heard of it. This was your first.
Just heard of it.
Okay.
It was like circulating on a set I was on back in 2014. The whole crew like was between watching
there was a
that.
rumble.
Yeah, they were gonna watch that or Wet Hot American Summer and settled on Wet Hot American Summer. Which
wow, the pairing.
Quite a choice to make. Yeah.
I also walked out of Wet Hot American Summer. I didn't walk out.
One could
of
argue
this
this was like a sort of wet and
very wet movie.
possibly hot.
Yeah, impossible to tell.
Not American, but
it just looked incredibly uncomfortable and not in like a good way. Like not in the it didn't put you in that Son of Saul or Come and See like territory. It was
haven't seen either of those films, by the way.
Those are the other list. Those are the ones that we were also talking about. But
yeah.
I like how you just said those are, uncomfortable in a good way versus this is uncomfortable in a bad way.
Well, no, I mean, like, I guess there is no good,
this
but like,
yeah, that's definitely true.
I just mean that two of them are great films, one of them is not, and the one I feel bad.
I guess we should probably get into this because
are we supposed to like the movie for this podcast?
No, not necessarily. You don't have to like it. This is an honest discussion, and that's
so
kind of why
we're gonna do a takedown of this film.
We are gonna do a takedown beats by beats. But
I actually there's one good thing about this movie choice, which is that we didn't plan this, but Jordan really didn't like it, and I actually liked it.
Okay,
I wasn't expecting to, so I think that there's some good tension.
We've been aligning on a lot of movies though. Throughout our life, honestly.
Yeah, this is the first time we've ever disagreed on a movie.
Wow.
Yes. So first public fight. More to come. Definitely
your first
not the
fight
last.
And it's public. Okay.
And it's public, that's right.
So you weren't aware when you selected this movie exactly how challenging it was going to be.
I didn't think it was challenging.
I thought it was certainly challenging. It was a difficult movie.
The question is not is it or is it not challenging. The question is, did you have an awareness of how challenging it might be when you selected this for my podcast?
Wait,
I did not realize
how is my answer not good?
Because Jordan, it's a 3-hour movie that's like glacially paced, utterly disgusting, like no plot to speak of. I think people would call that.
And it's in Russian.
And it's in Russian. Like, I think most people would call that not an easy watch. Yeah.
When you're already like sick in the head, like maybe I am, maybe y'all are. I don't really know your stories, but I'm going to assume we have some similarities.
Yeah, we haven't
common
presented
ground.
ourselves well, I guess.
That it's maybe a little less challenging than think of like a normal person watching this film.
well, I'm just saying that like Andrei Rublev, like not challenging but amazing, and this movie not challenging and not amazing, and Come and See.
I would say we did not realize.
I feel like I'm giving good answers, but I'm feeling like my answers, according to you, Josh, are not good. They're not good answers, huh?
Well, you're not really answering the question, which is, did we know what we were getting ourselves into when we selected this movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I just feel
I didn't
like
contradict myself there, right?
I don't. Yeah, I don't
know.
think so. You don't agree that it was challenging, but you do think you knew what you were getting yourself into when you selected this film.
I guess I didn't.
Yeah, because you said it looked cool and you were disappointed by it. That's what you told me. So I think you actually.
All right, we got this one straight.
We figured it out. Yeah.
We actually can move beyond the question.
Yeah.
Were y'all familiar with this director at all prior to this? No.
I wasn't.
No.
Okay. Yeah, me neither. Okay, before we get actually into the film, which we kind of have a little bit, but not really, I'll just run through the critic scores and then I'll have one of you guys read a plot summary. How about that?
Can we do it at the same time, or
You can.
No,
if you
I
want.
don't want to do that.
Here.
I'm curious about these. Let's hear these critic scores. I'm actually really curious about this because I haven't
it's
had
like
time
93% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's something crazy high.
That's actually exactly what it is on Rotten Tomatoes. It's
Damn.
93%. And
That's cool.
I also do the Google user score because I think that evens it out from what normal people
what's
think.
the letterbox also?
Well, Google users is 68%. So
68%. Okay.
significantly less, but still, I mean, higher than I would think.
Higher than I would have expected to, I think.
Yeah. I don't know what the letterboxd is. Are you looking
I got a question about the
What?
letterbox because I'm thinking of giving it 3 out of 5 stars on letterbox, but
Well, don't say what stars
people-
you give it. We do that at the end.
sorry, but people say
Jesus.
the reason I'm asking though is,
Uh-huh.
do you think 3 is a good rating? Because this is a big debate between Kathy and I.
Oh, just like in general. Is
Because I think
the number
3 is a
out of
negative.
5?
Yeah, I think 3 is a negative review, and everyone else thinks that's like a good score. Which
Well,
is
I
the
wouldn't say
stupidest
good.
thing.
I wouldn't say
exactly.
good, but I would say not bad.
Whoa. Let's get into this later.
I would
guess.
say
Yeah.
I would say 2.5 is like
unwatchable, but 3 is good.
Unwatchable.
2.5. I wouldn't say is unwatchable.
Yeah.
I would say it's like kind of bad, maybe made me feel nothing, but didn't piss me off enough to give it a lower score. 3 is like just better than that.
Jordan, if 2.5 to you is unwatchable, then what does 1 star mean to you?
Yeah.
Or better yet, half a star. Like if the bar is so like
I guess I just think like you know, like how there's like a threshold and then everything is the same, you know? It's like 2.5, like that cutoff it's almost equal to 1 or a half star in a way.
But it actually is higher than 1 or a half. It's
That's
like
right.
the thing.
numerically, yes.
Yeah.
Jordan.
No further thoughts.
Yeah, he's mulling it over.
Numbers.
I got
The math
this-
equations are going.
Yeah.
Oh,
Take
no,
a screen grab of that one. You're prepared to be memed. Okay, I have this little plot summary. I don't know. Do one of you want to read it? Here, I pasted it in the chat.
Jordan, you should do it.
As both I'm the worst reader of the two.
Do
Just
a
read
voice.
it. Just read it. Yeah, do a
As-
voice.
Can you put it up again?
It's in the chat.
You said do it as a voice?
No, just read it. Just read it.
As both city leader Don Reba's Greys, soldiers so named for the color of their uniforms, and the blacks in the powerful religious order all, Josh, how do you say that? Vie?
Yeah.
To round up, torture, and execute any artisans or intellectuals. A group of scientists from Earth go undercover as local nobles of divine descent, observing the atrocities all around them and trying to insinuate some sort of enlightenment without resorting to their own violent interventions. Yet, as one of these Earthlings is discovering, it is relatively easy to go native, but hard to be a god. So I would say everything here is fucking incredible, but the movie itself does not represent any of this, like barely any of it, because it's every 10 minutes someone's putting shit on their face and piss, and it's like, it is not what, so if you're listening to this and that sounds like, ooh, I must see this, you can skip it. You can read the plot summary. You can use Wikipedia.
Read the
and
book
you will
even.
Well, what if the book is just every 10 pages someone putting
No, the book's
shit
really.
and piss?
I mean, I hardly remember the book, but it's
It's
like
not just piss and shit being
No,
dumped all
it's just
over
like a more
people's-
straightforward. Like Yeah.
So Josh's that's Josh's first defense, is that the movie is piss and shit every 10 minutes, but the book is more straightforward.
I will say that I've never been like so grateful that a movie was black and white and not in color, because like there were so many times where I was just like really glad I couldn't see like what exactly was being smeared on like someone's face.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's
very
not
merciful.
that's not a good defense of the movie.
Merciful use of grayscale. Yeah, that's true. It's not a good defense, I guess.
We'll go through the movie.
Mhm.
Sorry, am I skipping ahead again?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
And if it's bad, guess what? I'll cut it, so you don't have to worry.
I'm really liking everything so far.
Great. I'm glad you're having a good time.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, we will get into each aspect of this film, I think. I have them pretty chunked out. I
Nice.
think this will probably be one of the more loose episodes we've done. I think if anyone's watched the film, you'll kind of understand why that there's much less of a discernible plot and much more of a lot of other things. So, we'll do what we can here.
Mhm.
I think just a little background on like the lifespan of the production of this film, I think is kind of interesting. So this book came out, the book, you've mentioned it's based on a book, came out in 1964. And 4 years later, in 1968, this director wrote the screenplay for this film and got permission to shoot it. In 1968, okay? Keep in mind, this film came out in 2013, okay? So we're getting there.
One of the many oddities of the production.
Because of Russian censorship at the time, was forced to stop production in 1968. It took 2 decades before it came into production again, only again to be stopped. Also around that time, another film adaptation of the same book was being undertaken by Peter Fleischman. I don't know if that ever came out or what, but they stopped doing this because of that. You have something to say, Josh?
Oh, no. I thought you were going to talk about the other, there's like a German one with Herzog in it or something like that.
Well, I don't know about that one even.
Yeah, apparently there is another version of the movie that has Werner Herzog in it, but I didn't read too much about it. I just saw that it exists, and I was like, maybe I'll check that out.
So after all of that, finally they started filming this again in the year 2000 and filmed for 6 years, over 6 years, and ended
Sorry,
in
when was it
2006.
initially? When did they start filming? Like, when did they initially
1968.
So there's footage from 1968
I believe it was, not in this.
They were in pre-production. Oh, meaning they just cut out, like,
I read that he
before.
wrote the script then.
Yeah.
He wrote the script. I think it was in pre. So like he wrote the script and they got permission to start shooting. They were like working on getting that together and then were forced to stop. So
well, in this case, Jordan would probably be on the side of the censors, right, Jordan? You would think that they were right to censor this film.
Well, I was going to make that argument that, like, you'd also think with like 30 years of pre-production, you could have done a little bit better than that,
Yeah, maybe the Stalin guy kind of had a point,
They said it was censored for being politically inappropriate. So,
which is really interesting because I feel like we're going to get more into this, but the like ideology of the movie I found kind of like, that was one of the things I found interesting about the movie, I guess, is trying to like figure out the movie's position and what it was trying to say ideologically.
I don't know.
Get more, yeah.
I don't know enough about like Russian history specifics to like speak in an educated way about any symbolism or comparisons between what's happening in this movie and what was happening in Russia at the time. But maybe you do.
No, I don't really either. I guess to me, what I thought, because my dad usually...
I've read that there is connections, but I just don't know enough about it to really...
Well, a lot of this stuff, like a lot of the like fiction from this time is like a lot of times allegorical. And my dad's favorite story about the Tetewsky brothers is that they would sort of mask criticisms of the Soviet Union in like science fiction, so it'd get past the censors. And so I was kind of prepared for more of that. And now, having read the book in a long time, I'd forgotten. But to me, the movie actually seemed much more an allegory about like fascism and like Germany specifically, much more than had anything really to do with the Soviet Union, which I thought was interesting because I was sort of, I mean, growing up in like a ex-Soviet family, you're basically subjected to just, I shouldn't say subjected, but you hear a lot of like anti-Soviet criticism that ends up getting, perhaps a little bit tedious after a while. And I was sort of prepared for more of that. But
You're
to me,
sick
the
of
movie,
it. You're pro-Soviet.
I just, there's like a certain like cynical cast to a lot of the, anti-Soviet rhetoric that just gets like a little tiresome after a while. 'Cause it's all just very like aphoristic. It's like little like ironic sayings or jokes about it. But so anyway, I guess I was just sort of, to me, the movie is much more about like fascism than it was about the Soviet Union or anything like that. But I don't know. We can get more into that later, I guess. But I was expecting it to be much more about the Soviet Union anyway. And it felt like it was less about that.
This was actually, this director, all of his other films were set in Soviet Russia, and this is the only one that isn't, which is kind of interesting in its own way.
Oh, yeah, that is interesting.
Is that specifically because it's on another planet that this takes place? Or is it like... I might have missed if there was like an obvious like, pre-Renaissance like place it was supposed to be, but like...
No, it was another planet, yeah.
No, I meant like, but like if it was like one of those like parallel... But I just took it to be another planet. Like
I think it just, I don't think it's supposed to like necessarily... I think it's just a planet like ours, but the Renaissance never happened, and
I think that was also uncharitable because I don't think, even if the Renaissance didn't happen, I just can't imagine people would be doing what they're doing in this movie with the piss and the shit.
You don't think this was accurate to living in like the Dark Ages?
We don't know. Who can say?
I guess I just don't think like if I didn't have any resources like technologically or like information, or education, like I don't know,
because there are people currently in this present day and age who like think drinking your own piss like gives you health benefits, and
that's like a Nathan Fielder joke, no?
People do that.
It's real. It could be a joke, but it is also real.
Where is that happening?
Yeah, Jordan moving the jar of piss from out of frame on the camera. Who is doing this?
What kind of sick fuck?
Yeah.
Was this like a Joe Rogan episode?
Probably, but
it does sound
it's same
Rogan-y.
crowd. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seems like of that crowd.
Yeah, it's a thing. There are people who like drink bleach because they think they feed their kids bleach because they think it'll cure autism and stuff like this. Like, there's all kinds of like.
That's like an autism inducer, no?
It's like a death inducer, I think. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe, but it was a whole thing. Like, I don't know. We don't have to get into it, but I do know a weird amount about it. Because people shit out like parts of their intestinal lining.
Oh my god!
And it looks like worms. So then they were like, "Oh, if you drink this bleach, you shit out the worms that are parasitic and causing your kids to have autism." But it's not worms; it's just actually your intestinal lining.
In a way, that's actually pretty on brand for the film as well, as one of the top.
So in a way, I already I'm coming into this on a level that I'm kind of honored that you guys would pick this movie for my podcast, and like already just somehow knew that I'd be sick enough to watch it.
I'm just like thinking if I could redo our pick, I would have fought harder for something like.
Well, look, there's always next time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, next time it's like even worse. Like Solo or something, like just another upsetting movie.
Okay, so back to the production story of this. So it was filmed from the year 2000 to 2006, and my man died in 2013, and the film had still not been completed after all that time. So basically spent his entire life devoting some amount of energy to this film.
Yeah, that's
over
a big
40
bummer.
years or whatever, 50 years.
He's not the only Russian filmmaker to do this.
I'm sure he's not.
Yuri Nordstein has been working 50 years on an adaptation of The Overcoat.
And like Avatar. I mean, come on.
That's true. Yeah.
That's one to look forward to.
You think so?
Yeah, unlike the Nordstein. Yeah, we hope that one will never get finished.
And then after he died, his son, Alexsei German Jr., completed the work on the film. So his son's also a filmmaker and has already, in his short life, made more films than his father did over all of those years. So brag on dad.
I did read that the film, I think, was mostly there when he
It was
died.
the audio. The audio was what was left. Or
Well, that's an interesting production
yeah.
thing. I read that they didn't actually record like any sound while shooting, and it was like
Holy shit.
all in post, basically.
It was all post-synced. So it all of the dialogue and the sound effects, everything that you
Was
hear.
that like a budgetary like thing?
No,
where they,
that's
like,
actually part of his style.
Oh, he does this other times too.
He does this in all of his films.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I wonder if we should give other films of his a chance.
We can check it out.
Yeah.
There's probably some that are worth checking out.
Like this one.
I don't know. They all seem to be kind of political. They're all based in Soviet Russia. They're all shot in black and white or very muted color. He's also known for casting non-actors.
Ooh.
I just took notes on that because I'd never seen any of his other stuff, but he seems like a filmmaker, I don't know, who has some amount of a following.
Mm-hmm.
So we can start the movie.
Yeah, I've taken some notes. Yeah, I wrote one page and was like, I don't even think these are doing anything, because the other notes are like something and then like stomach turning, or like this moment like utterly revolting, or like
Hell yeah.
it's most of what my notes.
You have all the
being.
pull tags that they put on the DVD.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
all you wrote down. Different
Shocking,
ideas for
yeah.
pull tags.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So you did give a plot sum, but it's so hard to follow what's happening in this movie, especially at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So it is like 30 male scientists go to this planet. The planet is like 800 years behind where we are on Earth, and they're killing all the smart people, and all the Earth people are trying to help low-key save them, but they can't interfere with their process and what's going on there. They can't let on.
I think all that, like up to that point, it is clear, but then as one
Because it's being said in a voiceover
exactly as one
narration.
as one like continues to watch the movie, it becomes harder and harder to gauge like who the scientists are and who
Yes.
isn't a scientist, because they're all
Yeah.
basically the same in terms of behavioral, like, and then the only distinctive characters are the like like these slaves that wear wooden like squares over their necks but no chains, and then like
They have chains.
some of
Yeah.
them have chains, but a lot of them are just like free roaming guys with like little squares around their neck, and then and then obviously our lead character, who has like a scaly armor and has convinced people he is the son of a god, or like they made that mistake or something. I don't, and he perpetuated it.
It is very hard to tell characters apart. I think that was like definitely
Especially at the
defiant-
beginning. Because there's so
Yeah.
many characters. There's so many like actors in this film. It's like insane.
As much
It's
as
crazy.
I purely want to rag on the movie, I did like when we like see him have this meeting with other scientists. Assuming I interpreted that correctly, there was like a meetup in some like it seemed like some of them were voicing.
They had a
like-
little BBQ.
Yeah, exactly. Like okay, so I didn't
Mhm.
like that much was understandable, and then after that, it was like a descent into like the.
Yeah, it's a little choppy. after
I
that.
felt like I was watching a film on loop.
I had a hard time even getting up to that point. Like, even just the beginning, I'm watching what's happening. I'm trying to listen to, or not listen, but read whatever, because it's in Russian, the voiceover parts. But there's also so much visually going on that even that's kind of hard to follow. And the language is like a little complex. Like, they're not just saying it in simple terms all the time, and sometimes they refer to things with different language. That even that was like sometimes hard to follow.
like why would you write tobaccoist as opposed to like the tobacco grower?
Yeah,
or something
you know,
like that. Like
stuff like that. Yeah.
that might be a failure on the subtitler's part, though.
Could be. But because there's so many characters, it's hard to know who's important at the beginning too. Like, who are we supposed to stick with? Even the main guy doesn't come in for like a couple minutes.
Yeah, though he has an amazing
The
intro. I think.
saxophone solo is incredible.
The saxophone solo is a whole separate thing, but his intro, where it's just like this like cavernous room, there's just like sausage hanging from the ceiling, and then he just like pulls himself up
Oh
over
yeah,
like
and then
this
the camera's
table.
like going underneath, showing his feet. Yeah, it's a good.
It's a great character intro.
I don't want to like keep talking about the movie because like I feel like if we keep talking about it, I'll
You
like.
don't want to keep.
No, I'm just saying like I feel like I don't want my
End it now.
I don't want my opinion to change because like you're talking about things that I liked about the movie.
Yeah, you don't want me to talk you into liking the movie.
It's okay. It's okay to like or respect even aspects of a film and not wholly like the film.
I'm just trying not to even give.
I'm
going
to try to convince both of you guys to like the movie by then.
I haven't said either way, for the record.
That's true.
I kind of feel like you already. I thought you and I. It was like a you and me versus Josh, like a battle of.
And Josh, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Josh doesn't like game mechanics, and I like game mechanics.
Game mechanics.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gamifying. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, but yeah, difficult to tell characters apart. Even something like that Don Reba guy, I found kind of difficult to tell apart from like.
Is that the guy that had the skin on his head?
There's a lot of like the
Yeah.
It's like you can't. It's like Don Reba, Rumata, and like they keep saying these names, but then
Rumata's the main guy.
I know.
And Reba. There's like 3 people that I thought were Don Reba different. Yeah, I think he is the guy you're describing, but then there's a dude that looks just like him.
You're talking about, like, there's the guy that also like kidnaps them with the ropes. I think that was Don Reba.
Yes, I believe that's right.
The guy that like
that was a weird
traps
scene.
them in a net, and then like for some reason like they're not really struggling to get out of the net.
Yeah, it's a strange, yeah.
We've all seen cartoons. We know how the nets work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They're heavy or something. Something's got to be going on there. Some kind of like physics we don't understand because we've never been in a big rope net.
We'll run some.
It's real rope too. Real rope
experiments.
is heavy, I think.
Real rope? That is true.
I just don't think you'd be unable to do anything about it when.
When we meet this guy, he looks like a pro wrestler. I was like, this guy is
huge.
A pro wrestler. We see him shirtless when we introduce him. He has the big, like, smooth titties, like that like muscle guys get.
His arms are massive.
You seen these things?
Yeah, he's jacked.
Y'all seen these smooth titties on muscle guys?
The thing is,
he's
like,
round. What's in there?
I could have easily had that kind of screen presence if I was cast.
Are you claiming to have the smooth titties?
I'm not, but like I know it's not. I know this podcast isn't a visual medium, but I am like a huge man.
Put your shirt back on.
I am very big, and
for any viewers listening, Jordan is 3 times the size of the average male. He's 6'7".
I'm
telling us earlier about his protein shakes.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I'm just saying, like,
you have the same height and weight and build as Ramada.
Yeah. Exactly. So, like, if you've seen me, you know what this guy looks like.
Imagine a smaller version of Jordan. Imagine like a weak Jordan.
That's what this guy looks like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So at the beginning of the story. Yeah, I found the beginning of the film so hard to follow that I was straight up on the Wikipedia trying to figure out what was going on all the time. I would say about the first 3 hours of the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think already we know where Kayla stands on this, which is that the summary is just so much cooler than the actual goddamn movie, and it's unfortunate that the summary doesn't reflect the movie at all.
What I've read between comparisons between the book and the film is that the book is so much more focused on the story, and sort of the setting is kind of the background. This like medieval setting is like background to what's happening with this epic story, and then the film is the opposite. Like the film is all background. It's all like the setting and the world and almost none of the story, or the story is very
you read the Wikipedia summary and you're like, wow, this is a fucking killer. Everything about this is going to be so great, but you're reading it after you've watched the movie or in real time with the movie, and it's like, that's just not what's fucking happening.
Also, a lot of things that could be cool we don't see on screen. We don't see a lot of the killings on screen. We don't see them get to this planet on screen. I guess there are like royal killings that happen that start off this whole thing that we also don't see.
I don't even think I like mind that. It's just literally like interpreting that like what is said in the Wikipedia article is happening on the screen.
You felt misled.
I would say that like it's a very generous Wikipedia summary.
Well, they're describing I mean, I think you just have to kind of like separate out what you think the plot is going to be. Like, I feel like this is one of a better movie to go into if you don't know what it's about and someone tells you ahead of time, like, this is going to be a brutal slog. I think if someone sets you up for the fact that like, this is going to be at times like very like challenging to your patience and focus, and they don't tell you that it has like a cool plot with these sci-fi films, I actually think that's like, you could enjoy the movie much more as just this like very sensory experience that'll make you really grateful to live in modern times. It really does make you feel like you're in the Dark Ages. Like
I knew very little going in, for the record. I don't think I knew anything besides what year it came out.
Yeah.
I try not to know anything if possible.
But
That's
like,
good.
here's the thing. I mean, like, this is maybe not a fair argument. I would say that Andrei Rublev feels like being in the Dark Ages, but you're following something that all I'll say is that it's a very sensory movie still, and come and see more.
Sure. I mean, I would say Andrei Rublev is a better movie than this one, but I also think they're going after
definitely.
Yeah, but they're going after very different things. Like I don't disagree. It's not as good a movie as that, but like I mean, I think they're just trying to be very different movies. I think that
they're incomparable, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like I mean, there's like super fit. Like I think like the setting that it's just like it's Russian, it's medieval. I think those are like points of comparison. But in terms of like this isn't trying to paint you a portrait of a character or their life at this specific historical time. Like I think this is very much just a picture of like barbarianism and like truly Dark Ages.
We have all these things working together to create this sort of very visceral space. So
yeah, and like I like visceral movies like this. Like I would say Son of Saul does what you're talking about, but it's like I don't know why that movie is more bearable than this movie, and that movie's painful.
And did that movie have a story to it? Because this movie didn't really have a strong. Like I mean, it's a pretty plot.
Supposedly, this one has a story though. If we go to the Wikipedia,
I mean, it does technically, but I think it's a pretty plotless movie when you're watching it.
I really I'm struggling because
if we break down the elements, maybe that can help you identify why you don't like it or what you do like about it. Let's start with the wetness, the grossness. I think the just nastiness, the unrelenting nastiness of this film is maybe unlike anything that I've seen. it's definitely beyond an extent of anything that I've seen. Yeah, go.
Yeah, it's definitely the grossest movie I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Especially near the ending, I think I was like literally calling out like, "Oh no, no, no!" Like
it's so unrelenting. It's like their world. First of all, it rains constantly, not all the time, but like off and on constantly, so that everything's muddy, and everyone's wet all the time, just baseline. But then also people are walking around. It's like this camera is swinging around, and you're seeing like one guy smearing shit on his face, one guy having shit land on his head from above, and then keeps going. Another guy pukes. Like it just like doesn't end.
Yeah,
it like unrelenting is really like the best word. Like it literally never stops throughout the movie. Almost never. There may be like 2 tiny sections of the film where there's not something horribly disgusting happening for a second.
Yeah, and it's just like knowing that it wasn't made by a prankster, but like a self-serious.
Yeah, this isn't Jackass.
Like it's like
I'm Don Rumata and this is Jackass.
Josh, did you say you made a list of like the top gross outs?
Yeah, so I started compiling. I made a little column for best gross outs. Early on, I realized like I'm gonna need to start writing these down.
You were gonna need a whole notebook for it.
Yeah, I totally did not anticipate how much space I would need and ran out of space. I mean,
okay, let's hear some of them.
All right, well, I started off. You can tell how the movie escalates because the first thing I wrote is dude with snot dripping all over his face.
Okay.
And that's the first one. So I think I really didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I considered that a gross out.
Okay.
Then obviously the like horse cock, or is it donkey?
It's a donkey, I think.
It's a donkey where you're.
It is very big.
Yeah.
Not the first animal penis movie I've done on the pod.
Yeah, pretty confidence challenging moment. People getting various things ripped out of their faces. I think early on there's like at least 2 scenes in a row where someone basically has like their eye ripped out just with someone's hand. There's a part where I think Don Ramada, it's all blends together, so it's really hard to tell one scene from another. But there's a part where some people are getting scared, and I think Don Ramada is like fighting some people, and it just shows a man's penis pissing from fear. Do you remember that? And I just have a note. Why was it out at all? Because it's just out in combat.
This is classic guy stuff.
Yeah, it's a dude's rock movie.
Dudes love that. It is a dude's rock movie. Dudes love to be having a wiener hanging around.
Just out in battle.
Pissing. Yeah. There's lots of like wiener imagery in the film.
There's a lot of the biggest one was definitely the evisceration at the ending with the dude's intestines falling out.
Yeah.
That was like
I think that the top gross out for me was around that same scene. When we're seeing all the dead bodies on the ground at the aftermath of whatever battle had occurred. There's like a kid who goes up to a naked dead corpse on the ground and like uses something like, I don't know, it looks like a popsicle stick. It can't be a popsicle stick. Uses something to gather a chunk of shit out of this dead guy's ass. And then like goes over to another dead corpse who had his mouth open and puts the little chunk of shit in the other dead corpse's mouth.
Yeah, that was not good.
What do you think it was like to be like a child actor on this film? Like, what was
I can't imagine. I couldn't
on?
find anything from the cast of this film on what their experience was like filming, but I am so curious because
like what's the BTS?
Yeah.
Is there a crafty table? Are people being treated fairly?
no
on
way.
this
There's
film?
no way there's a crafty table. And just like the environment alone, like they're in mud. Like this is a practical environment. Everything is real. They're so wet all the time. They're so muddy.
God.
They're so covered in everything.
I have a feeling they had to dub the movie because like no sound person just agreed to like take part. It can't be like we want to do this. It has to be that like they're like, no, this is nasty and my like equipment's gonna get ruined because your actors are just gonna smear shit all over it.
I think there's a Hearts of Darkness style documentary made about the production of this movie. I just saw it
Is
today,
there?
and it's called Playback. I think.
I would rather watch Playback.
I couldn't find much about it, but apparently it is sort of like following the production of this movie, which I'm
I would
really
love
curious
to
to
see
see.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see that too.
I would watch
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, this movie was so nasty and sick. I read a review that was titled something like "the most liquids in a film I had ever seen" or something
Totally.
like that. The most
Not even
liquids in a
close.
film of all time.
By far, like whatever number 2 is, I can't even think of.
The most number 2 in any film.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so that was definitely like the pervasive thing going on throughout this movie was just the wetness and the nastiness. I guess let's talk about the set then. The next thing. The set is so crazy, so detailed. I guess a lot of the set is based off of actual paintings from the 15th to the 17th centuries. They like printed out these huge paintings and used them as inspo boards and recreated them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan, it's that they use like the Bruegel painting we were using as it's like all of that stuff that I think he used. Like I think the set's really crazy. Like everything just looks so like creaky and sinewy and dirty and like aged and like and all the interior spaces. There's just so many. There's just so
many
much,
things.
So many things. Yeah, like the clutter.
I don't want to sound positive here, but it is
God
really...
forbid. Yeah.
Be less concerned about what you sound like and just be honest and say your opinion.
I know. I agree, but the perception is important here.
No one's gonna. You've made very clear to the
when we
audience,
get to
like-
the end, we'll rate this movie, and then you can give your full opinion about it. Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. It is amazing to look at. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is very well photographed.
Yeah.
Like Don Ramada's house is just really cool. Like even just the weird like cured meats hanging from the ceiling that are constantly just like getting in people's way and stuff like that. And even just, I mean, even from the beginning, that like shot of his like dinner table, like I feel like I like paused it just to look with like wonder at like, there's like a big like fish skeleton from a cartoon, just across the table. And like,
I loved like, even like as we're seeing, like, I don't know, like what you would call that, like their port or whatever that like had like all the burning fires in the back. It's like, it is like, unfortunately very stunning.
It's like it's so impressive even like
Exactly.
You just don't see people going this hard on a set.
Yeah.
On such a large
like,
set with so many people, never mind like the costuming and things that the cast had to go through. That's its own thing.
right.
Yeah, and the cast is also amazing.
Yeah.
Like all the faces were
Unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no one looked like
Human.
yeah, like somehow
Very
like
barely. Everyone's a little fucked up.
Yeah, definitely.
everyone looked like they were sculpted
Oh yeah, that's a good way
out
to
of
put
like
it.
wax or something.
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
And was that
Very, like-
prosthetics or was that the people? We'll never know.
no, I think it was just misshapen people.
Yeah, could be. But I can't imagine setting up this set. It just seems endless the way that the camera is moving through everything. It's like it goes on and on and on and on forever. And there's so many details in this world. everywhere you look, there's something. There's like a dead animal in the mud. There's like, I don't know, just crap everywhere. There's meat hanging from all the ceiling, anywhere you look. And that's why, especially at the beginning when the narration is happening, I sometimes couldn't even focus on the narration because I'm just like, there's so much to look at.
Totally.
Here, like,
I wonder if it would have been a better movie without any subtitles at all.
That's
like,
when you read about it online, people do talk about how like don't even bother paying attention to the dialogue because like it doesn't matter, like just enjoy it for
I
like
wish I had kind of just watched it with that in mind, because like I feel like I would have gotten the same thing of just reading a Wikipedia summary at the end and like finding the movie much more enjoyable knowing that that was what I had seen than the text that was like laid out for us.
I wonder if like knowing Russian at all helped me because I feel like I wasn't looking at the subtitles that much, and like maybe I was just able to watch the set. I didn't really think about it at the time, but I'm wondering if like maybe that's part of the reason I liked it a little more.
So you understood, you have enough of the language down to sort of be like,
oh yeah,
these guys are scientists and
okay, like in terms of like I don't think I understood the plot any better than you guys, but I think I just didn't have to look at the subtitles, because you're saying
I'm trying to think of
you're saying like
other
looking
movies.
at the subtitles was distracting because you're trying to read the subtitles and like watch this like insanely dense imagery, So I think I also like I'm not very good at following movies sometimes. I think maybe that usually like impediment to enjoying movies helped me here because I think I kind of just let go almost immediately of like
of trying to follow it at all.
That happens a lot, and I feel like sometimes for movies that are plotless it does help. I think I do end up liking plotless movies a lot because it's like it's very easy for me to just let go and be like, yeah, I'm not going to understand this at all. Like I'm just along for the ride.
Makes me wonder if like if you think of like a Malick or something like that, which I would say is like, I would say some of his movies are pretty like plotless is not the right word, but like they are like visceral movies, like I'm thinking
vibe
of like,
heavy.
Yeah.
The best version of that being The New World, and the worst version of that being probably To the Wonder, which is unwatchable.
You're saying that's a 2.5.
Yeah, that's at least a 3 or 4 star movie in Jordan's book. Unwatchable.
Go on.
No, I'm just saying. Like if I was supposed to watch this movie as one would, like one of Malick's lesser movies, where you're not supposed to really enjoy it, but you just take it in.
I think maybe you're swindled by when you read the synopsis. It seems like a movie that would be plot heavy, that would have.
Yeah, it's like a very heady, heady synopsis.
Yeah, that is true.
But then you're swindled because almost nothing happens in this film, and certainly not much that you could discern by watching it alone.
It's like you're subjected to the film more than you're watching the film.
I mean, it makes me wonder if like maybe this movie would have been better received if it just been like purely a medieval
made by us or something.
Definitely not. I just feel like if maybe he didn't like. I get why he connected it to Hard to Be a God, and I'm sure it had that like personal relevance to him, but maybe it would have just been better as just a medieval period piece or something like that.
I think I disagree. Well, I don't think it would be better as a medieval period piece. I think that the time and the way that time is used in this film, the presentation of time maybe, is interesting to me. It is kind of historical, but it's not set in the past. This isn't like somebody's memories. This isn't history. This is now. It's present. And then you have a guy, 30 guys, in fact, who are kind of not from the future. They're from now, but they're living in this space that is their past or similar to their past, but they're living in it now, presently.
Yeah, with like a modern sensibility and like No, I mean,
so it's kind of it's not set in the past, also not set in the future. It's set in now, but it kind of has imagery of the past. I think that's just unique. I think it's interesting.
Well, I would agree that it's unique. I think it could have been condensed, and also like, it could have leaned more into that Wikipedia summary that was written after the fact to be like, it's like even there's like the exploration of this Ramada is like, I still, despite camera placement, and Josh, I'm curious if you'll disagree, and Kayla, I'm hoping you'll agree with me at the very least.
Really hoping to win me over. Go on.
Yeah, exactly.
Desperate for my approval.
Exactly. I see it as like I felt removed from Ramada still, even though the camera placement would make me think like, it's not like this objective filming. It is very much in the action of the film.
I don't think the camera always is in the action of the film.
Not always, but it's often in this like handheld tracking. Or
that I can agree with.
Well, I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about the camera situation too, because I found like the perspective very strange, because at times we'd be almost in like Rumada's perspective, and then there's just people. Then there's people constantly
also looking at the camera.
Like, almost, every shot basically someone looks into the camera. Yeah, constantly. People are always looking at the camera. At first I thought,
like, do you really want that? And then they're looking at it because they're confused that the director has told them to look into it.
It's very weird. Like, it made me feel strange watching it, because at first I thought we were sort of in like Rumada's perspective, and like it's not explained in the movie, but as I recall in the book, like that headband thing he's wearing is like a camera. That's not in the movie, right? Well, that like.
Well, he is wearing.
He's wearing it, but they don't say what it is.
Yeah, that's in the book. It's like one of the only things I remember from the book. But that's a camera for people on Earth to watch. And at first, I thought maybe we're like in that thing.
In a reality TV situation.
Yeah, the Truman Show
like
for the. Well, I just thought.
I'm not even.
No. Yeah, I guess.
Like, there's like there is this element of like everyone goddamn spikes the camera, and it is
so at first I thought we were seeing that perspective.
It's a choice that you would think is there for a reason, as if like the camera is actually like in this world or like something, which I also think would be a cool idea, that these guys would be like avoiding because there's also this reference to earthly technology, which is like, is it that they're talking about, like save us with this camera?
I think they just know that he can, like, I don't know. I think they're talking. I think it's other stuff.
They mentioned that he has like special swords several times. That he has like really good swords.
It's probably like a handgun or something like that they're talking about.
I think this film is anti-film if it's anything. Right? And like having those like strange fourth wall breaks, not being able to tell whose perspective we're looking through half the time. I mean, that's all part of that, I think, but. A lot of times through this film, also, they will pan away from the action. Several times there's something in front of the camera blocking the action. Like one of my favorite parts is when there's somebody with 2 chicken feet, like making them clap in front of the camera.
That was so weird. And then Ramada's like, go away. Yeah. And he like tells the person.
Stuff like that happens like multiple times.
It's almost like you get a reprieve from seeing something just absolutely
gives you a little
like
break.
Revolting.
Yeah, but I mean, some could argue seeing 2 severed dead chicken feet clapping is also in some ways disgusting,
troubling. A troubling image,
right? But like when your bar is that high for disgusting.
I remember that moment and thinking like, at first I was wondering if maybe he just got a bunch of like people who like are just extras, like people, and they didn't really direct them at all, so everyone's just trying to get in frame. But then they're clearly like there's some choreography, because Ramada's like, hey, go away, or something like that, and people like perfectly take the chicken feet out of frame. And it's like, it's one of those things, or some of those movies where there's a lot of weird choices made, but it all feels like it must be intentional given how much time and how much control the director exerted, leading you to wonder, like, what is he saying, like, or what is the purpose of doing this? I don't know.
He claims to have invented his own type of cinema.
Oh, that's not a good sign. Never good
I had
when
this
someone...
quote from him.
That sounds like Vincent Gallen that quote.
He said, I was never taught, hassled, or had my nose rubbed in shit by any director. I'm a non-professional, and that forces me at every stage to invent cinema. My own, the kind of cinema that interests me. One that's somehow different from everybody else's, and it's never been done this way before me.
All right, that's not as bad as like I thought it was going to be, because I would say it's accurate at least, because I haven't seen
anything else like this.
I've seen like some horrible Bellatar films, Werkmeister harmonies, and it's like there is overlap in that it's almost endless and saying very little to the viewer.
I don't want to get into any armchair psychoanalysis of this guy, but I find it very interesting. In that quote, he said something about having his nose rubbed in shit. That's very interesting, given how much of that exact thing seems to happen in this film, Yeah. Clearly he has a preoccupation with...
He's blocking something.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Very telling.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wish he was alive today to hear this.
Podcast.
Yeah. I'm glad he doesn't have to suffer the. Yeah.
German, come on the pod.
Yeah. Let's get his side
Get his
of the
dead ass
story.
in here.
Yeah.
German versus the critics.
German.
It's pronounced German.
Oh, right.
I think the camera, the way they use the camera with all the fourth wall breaks, I think in a way it serves to pull you into the environment. I think all of these things are kind of combining to try and pull you into the environment, to make the environment more of a space that you occupy as yourself. Having those fourth wall breaks, like, they bring you to attention in those times. They're looking at me. I'm in here too, you know? And I think that can be interesting as well. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I mean, the movie itself is like super immersive, and that adds to it for sure, where you feel like you're being seen as well, you know, and like you're just like pushing your way through these like crowds and like stepping through the mud too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never watched a movie that made me feel more wet.
Can I recommend one?
I realized how that sounded once it was coming out of my mouth,
But it is true, you know.
full body, the full body kind,
yeah.
hair and things. Jordan, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say that it's just funny because like one of my favorite movies, Come and See, does do this. Like it's not like spiking the camera and that characters are turning into it, but it does a lot of cutting to characters that end up looking into the lens, you know, like right at the viewer, and it is really amazing in the context of that film. And I you know, I'm still thinking about how I feel about the choice because I thought about it a lot, and I guess retrospectively, I think I like that choice.
Nice.
But I don't like saying it.
All right, we're getting there. I can tell we're like 20% of the way there.
I'm not trying to convince anyone to like this movie.
I'm trying to convince Jordan.
I'm neutral.
I'm trying to convince Jordan and any listeners to like.
We're trying to get like you know, to see how malleable I can be to the power.
I'm neutral, and I'm trying to be I try to be objective as I'm going through as much as I can. Not always fully objective.
But what do you think though? Like, where are you?
We'll see at the end. I would like to break it down objectively so that I can be open to liking or disliking or having an honest conversation about the elements that's untainted by my opinion of the film.
Yeah, the structure of the show has been explained to you many times, Jordan.
I'm approaching the podcast a little differently than you, Jordan. Hell bent on hating the film.
Yeah.
I'm always open to being swayed or to, I don't know, someone else's ideas or perception or interpretation, personally.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to do it. But I am just thinking a lot about the camera thing. I don't know.
You have more thoughts?
I don't know. One thing, you know, in terms of like movement, I always thought it was kind of interesting that like people are always just like moving or carrying or lifting stuff. You know,
we never see people sitting somewhere, or like we never see people sleep. That also makes the time kind of hard to follow because it's hard to tell sometimes when there's a day change.
Totally, it's delirious.
Yeah,
like,
it's like day and night feels almost the same a lot
totally.
of the time. It's like you can never tell what time of day.
And there's just this weird thing where like people are always being like passed. Like I feel like any scene with Ramada, people are like handing him stuff or like pushing stuff in his face, and he's constantly like moving people out of the way, or like there's an arm coming to like
they're pampering him constantly too, like trying to take care of him, and he's like, nah, get off. Or
like rubbing like stuff on him. Like it's just very bizarre. There's always like there's just so much movement.
It's almost like looking into a barrel of worms.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's wriggling around.
No, that's a really good way to put it. Because like and on top of just how dense it is with like the set design and stuff, just like the motion, there's just
the set and the sheer amount of people in this. I don't know like what the number of people who are on screen is. I don't know. I don't like have that data, but like anytime you're looking at it, there's like a handful to a couple dozen. And it seems like very few repeats.
And he shoots like the human body in kind of a weird way too. I don't know if you guys felt that at all, but like like the massive worms thing is like a really good way to put it, because it's just like limbs everywhere and like very like disconcerting way to shoot.
Worms also like wet and nasty and shitty and
just very like unusual way to shoot just like human beings in a way, I think.
Jordan, what do you think?
I'm really just thinking about
Deep
it.
in thought.
Yeah. Again, it was like one of those things that like
You weren't considering, and now you are.
no. It's like it is something I thought was amazing about it. You know, was just like the insane blocking and the amount of time.
You respect it.
Yeah.
The most begrudging. Yeah, I guess it is pretty cool.
Wish everyone could see the body language that went with that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's like making me wonder, like, would I put my name as director on the film? And it's like, I guess I would if I could, you know.
Yeah.
Like if they just
Would I steal credit for this?
Well, something to think about.
That's true.
There was a time when I was making similar things, so it's like,
Oh, when you were doing
hard.
films like this?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Back when I was doing 3-hour epic, like
Yeah.
extremely dense
Over
visceral
8
films.
years. Yeah.
Hell yeah. No, I respect that too. I respect the stolen valor.
Yeah, it's definitely stolen valor there. Yeah.
Go for it. Nobody has to know. It's
Yeah.
archived.
That's right.
It exists, trust me.
It's in a private Vimeo link somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk more about the audio. So what did you guys, we kind of mentioned the process of the audio.
it was like things were being said constantly that wasn't actually being said by anyone.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like he had two voices in the movie. Rumata had like this weird voiceover voice where he was almost like not talking to the characters, and then at times like he was like mostly like commanding people to get the fuck away from him.
Yeah.
Or, like, you know, and then he would say something really like profound, you know, like it was like every few lines that, I don't know if you felt this way, guys, but like there was like, I don't want to be charitable with the word poetry, but almost a poetry to his like speech where he would say, I wish I had written down some of the quotes, but like it almost like had like a double speak element to it where it was like do you know what I mean? Like
I agree with you. I think there were times where, you know, I think that the big one is that quote at the end, something about like the grays and the blacks. And he says like, remember always like wherever there's grayness, like the black will come or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I had trouble differentiating the grays and the blacks.
I did too.
I also was just constantly confused when people were like, he's an amazing fighter. It was just really almost everyone was like a bad defender of themselves, you know, as opposed to him being this mythic.
And there also just really isn't a ton of, there's violence, but not a lot of fighting. You know what I mean?
I never saw anybody without ears. Did we see anybody without ears? The whole thing is he can't kill people because it's part of their like prime directive stuff. But he can chop their ears off. They give him permission.
I didn't see earless people. Yeah.
Their mission is so strange because it's like the idea seems to be like he's supposed to like role play as one of them,
assimilate,
you know.
yeah.
But then they keep talking about this mission to save the artists without influencing the mission.
Yeah, I think it is sort of like this funny.
It's like they're trying to direct time, but also not. It's a very confused.
What is the purpose of their mission?
And like, where's the delineation of where they're allowed to act? And like, because they're there almost as like observers. I mean, this makes me kind of want to reread the book just to see like if there's a more clear delineation. Because it's like, what are they allowed to really do? Because it seems like they're allowed to sort of influence things, but there's a line that they're not supposed to cross.
What's funny is like it can't be the idea that they are not supposed to alter time, like for it affecting them, because it's not a time travel movie where like. There won't be consequences.
There's no butterfly
for the
effect.
Earthlings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so it's like, what, you know, like I think a more interesting idea, and maybe this is what it just became anyway, is the idea that like, who the fuck cares? Like, why not alter time? Like we don't have.
Well, they're allowed to like
here.
alter stuff a little bit, it seems, but because I think they're like protecting intellectuals and trying to move them to the other kingdom. So yeah, that's what, like I feel like they're allowed to change the course of events in some ways. But then, like, killing kind of off limits, it seems.
Maybe are they trying to? They're protecting writers, artists, artisans. They're trying to protect art. They're trying to, let that live and not be killed.
And again, for the audience listening, not a lot of this is made clear,
Yeah.
as that.
Do they save anyone? I couldn't tell you if they saved a single person.
So there's that guy at
Well,
the
he's trying to
beginning
save
who gets
Budok, and
thrown in.
there's the dude who's thrown into like
In the well.
yeah, into it's not
Yeah.
a well, it's like a latrine. He's like drowns in shit basically.
See, I don't even remember this.
It's at the
This was like at the top of the movie. Remember how there's that guy who's got that square nonsense on his head? He's like trying to run away, and the guys just grab him, and he's like, "No, let me go."
Well, he's like harangued at first by a guy who he like criticized. He's like, "Remember, like 40 years ago, you like
I remember
criticized
this.
Yes.
one of my writings," and then they like grab the dude and just apparently like drown him in like.
I don't think they show the drowning.
don't.
They just
Mm,
they
okay,
pan
that's why I don't
off
remember.
right. Yeah, they pan off right as they're about to drown
And the
him.
kid references it to Rumata, I think. But yeah, I think like they're trying to protect like intellectuals, because I think that's sort of like the gray and the black thing. It's like, and this is why I think it's like more of like a fascist allegory, because I think it's like a wave of anti-intellectualism. I feel like they're killing all the intellectuals, and they're sort of burning books and that sort of thing.
It was like Italy, right? Or
Yeah, and like Germany. I mean, I think that's also like the blacks is like the black shirts. Like that's. I was trying to like, I didn't want to like over analyze it, because I also don't even know very much to begin with. But I feel like, yeah, like it was about like anti-intellectualism and like the gray, because kind of like maybe it's like conformity and like leading to like black shirts. I don't know. That's my half-baked analysis.
So I sort of forget where the question was.
Well,
We're
the question was
lost in
about the
sauce.
dialogue. The dialogue.
My
and
question
the
was
sound.
specifically about the sound and not as much about necessarily what they were saying.
Wow, we got way off
Yeah.
the
Oh,
trail
you
on
meant
that one.
sound design.
But I mean,
that
dialogue
was
is also, it's an interesting conversation to have. But my question was about the sound design and like, how does the way that they produced the sound for this film, like because it is all that post sync, how do you feel like that makes your experience of the film? I mean, because to me, we can't always tell like who's talking, where they are in space, and we kind of lose, in my opinion, like our depth perception or like our sense of dynamic space sometimes, because the sound of someone spitting is the same volume as someone speaking. It's the same volume as a knife sharpening, is the same volume as a strong breath out,
Yeah, right.
We're often in a space that we've talked about how every space in this film is so busy, and there's so many people, and there's so many things in the room, and there's so many things that can squish, and often we're just hearing like 1 to 2 people talking and like a set of chains or something, and not like room noise.
Well, I guess none of my issues were in the sound design.
But now,
But you're not even saying it's an issue necessarily. You're just asking what we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I think early on I noticed something was weird with like Rumata in particular, because he just sounded so very close to my ear. Even when he was like far away.
He's speaking directly to you.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean about like occasionally, and I know I'm not trying to get off track here, but like occasionally there's a line of dialogue that just sounds like it's voiceover, and then
Totally
a completely different tone that's conversational.
Yeah.
So it's like that's kind of what I meant with like the sound, and like that was the thing that stuck out most to me, was like these like lines that like almost sounded breathy versus dialogue.
I just can't get over someone would choose for all their movies to shoot this way, or to like construct a movie this way. Like it's really interesting.
It could be like one of those falsehoods, like the falsehoods we spread about our movies.
Oh yeah, that's true. That'd be
It's
pretty
like
funny.
he could be like someone that's just trying to have a mythos. Is that how you say that word?
I think so.
Yeah.
You don't say it mythos? A mythos about himself. He wants a mythology of like, I always did this, but like it's just a practical joke for all of time.
I mean, in some ways you can see how it would make sense, just because of, again, how busy everything is in these scenes and how much noise things are probably making just on their own, with their costumes being metal, with everything being wet.
True.
Like how much room noise would be happening with all this many people just shuffling around even.
I would
True.
think he would be fine with all that noise, though.
But it might be hard to control, like what, I mean, depends on, I guess if this guy is like a real, well, I don't want to use the word control freak, but I feel like if, depending on what level of control he wants over the movie, like just being able to like scrap all the like raw audio and just like rebuild the sound from scratch. Cause like what you're describing is true. Like I did forget, like, yeah, like all the costumes are probably making like a ton of noise and just everything. Like,
He's probably directing from behind the camera also, like, all right, you guys now move into frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Saying, you know,
That's
so it's
also
like,
true. Yeah, great point.
yeah,
Because there's so much action happening constantly.
right. I'm sure they might have captured.
there's definitely a reference track.
Well, they must
you
have
know,
captured
for, like,
maybe some audio, but I could see like him wanting to just like, I could see based on how this guy has done this movie and the level of control he has, like he just wants to just like fuck it, we'll rebuild everything from scratch, you know, because otherwise there's just going to be too much stuff going on.
I mean, it's just a nightmare.
It does sound like an absolute every part of this, from watching it to creating it, this whole movie is just a nightmare.
And I mean, he spent 7 years on audio alone. Like the last 7 years of the production, right? Was
Oh my
just
god.
I mean, it shouldn't have taken him that long, honestly.
I wonder if he had a day job that whole time. He must have. He couldn't have been
Yeah, I guess
making money
it's
off
tough
of his
if
films.
he wasn't getting
making 5 films
Yeah,
in
it
his
wasn't
entire
like-
life.
Yeah.
and like the way like
Damn.
Russian finance works, it's not like he's getting like royalties or anything.
I think I looked at the budget versus revenue for this film. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something insane. Like the budget was $7 million and the revenue was like 30,000 or something like that. It was like a
$30.
really huge like
Damn.
cavern between the two. Yeah,
It makes sense. It seems like an insanely high resource movie, and at the same time it's very difficult to imagine it being very popular.
yeah.
It's popular in the States though, right? It's like
Is it?
people here seem to love it.
Really? And it's a 68% on the right. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So that's true.
That's not bad, right? For an overall rating.
Like,
It's not
in your
good.
books.
great.
in my-
Yeah. Jordan,
I'd
if we
never
got a
heard of it.
68%, would you feel that was good?
I'd be very unhappy.
Yeah.
He'd be like, one
I'd be
more.
depressed.
Mm.
I'd be like, I get like one more, but like I'd be like, 32 more maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, but we can't all be hundos.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if this is popular here. I've never heard of it, and I've heard of a lot of weird stuff.
I heard this movie about this one endlessly by like people in film school, just nonstop.
Well, I didn't go to film school, so there is that.
You're so lucky.
Me either. Yeah.
I know a lot of film professors now. But I didn't go to film school. Most of the reviews I read on this film, user reviews, so like Letterboxd or like IMDb reviews, stuff like that, are extremely divisive.
Yeah,
so it's
I could
either
see
like
that.
people absolutely hate it, or two other things. Or they love it, or they don't love it, but they respect it. There are 3 options.
That makes perfect sense.
Maybe fully represented throughout the group here today.
Right. True. That's
Yeah. I think I'm like, I love it with a lot of caveats.
Okay.
Hey, that's a
We'll
lot
see
better
once we
than-
get to the end where we're all
Yeah.
at then. Which, we don't have too much more to go, I don't think. I mean, there is a little bit. About 2 hours in, we start to get a little bit of story.
Yeah. We're finally treated to a little bit of plot for the,
We can have a little plot as a treat.
Yeah, we deserve a little. Yeah, we.
It's like
director
the
treats
beginning.
us.
The beginning of the movie is almost like a test of endurance. It's like,
Totally.
if you can make it past this, then you get the reward at the end.
Yeah,
which
we're
is
doled
only
out.
slight even then. But
2 hours and 40 minutes in, you get
Yeah,
get
the
if you can
biggest
sit
plot.
through like 2 hours of like absolute like disgusting, gnarly, like violent,
Yeah.
grotesque,
Punishing.
plotless, punishing, great word, like plotless, hard to follow, confusing, brain hurts, where are
Yes.
we don't know,
Stomach
kind
hurts.
of material.
Yeah.
And if you can make it through 2 hours or so of that, then you can have a little plot as a treat.
Yeah, you're treated to like just enough plot to
And
be
like
confused.
a tiny bit of emotion even, because I don't think there's even like emotion through the first so long of the movie. There's
That-
you don't
one of
feel
my
anything.
notes-
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my notes was actually about that. Is the scene where his like mistress or like
Mhm.
wife finds, she's like looking for his pants,
Mhm.
and she finds his pants. There's like a few moments in the movie that are kind of sweet. Very few. I wish there was just like I
I
get
guess
why
their
they're-
love story in the book is allegedly like a huge deal. The love
Really?
story
I don't
between
even
this
remember.
peasant girl and him. And that was like a criticism I saw, was like, in the book, that's such a huge deal. And then when she's killed later, that's like a whole turning point in the book, because she meant so much to him.
Mhm.
And then in the film, we see her briefly in 2 scenes. We do get a little bit of tenderness between them, but like, it's not really played up at that big.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's like that small moment, and I feel like I like noted it down because it felt like the most like heartfelt moment.
Mm-hmm.
Although there is one really like, I think this is the moment where I kind of like started to feel like I got what the movie's going for and sort of like recalibrated, I guess, for like the movie is there's this awesome part in the beginning where there's two dudes whistling over a chicken.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
I feel like I thought that was really cool, and I feel like that sort of like changed my mind. Because at first, I thought the movie looked beautiful, but I was like, oh, this is I don't know how into it I am, but that moment felt very like tender and sweet in a way.
Damn. I mean, I wish I had that experience, but I find it endearing that you did.
That's nice.
I did find also on the peasant girl, like I did find her presence kind of, I don't know, I want to say startling, not startling, but striking. There we go. Striking in the film, just because she is also the only woman who's treated tenderly throughout the film. Like there are very, very few women in this film, and the ones we do see are like, they're not being treated well.
Yeah.
They're
that's
basically
for sure.
there for sex or other nasty activities.
Yeah.
She's the only one who's there for, not only is she there and experiencing tenderness from a male character in this film, but she's able to share an emotional experience with him. Like she shares her experience of like, she got like assaulted by some guys who lifted up her skirt and made her show her business to everyone. And he's just like listening to her story about her day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only female character that we get anything like that from in this film, I think.
Yeah, and it's weirdly like effective, I think, for also showing the brutality of the world that like this guy with the, you know, who's literally the only person who can like provide that is like a dude who's literally from present day Earth.
Mm-hmm. From
you know,
another planet.
From like another planet,
Mm-hmm.
And has like a modern sensibility of how to relate to people and women, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that, you know, it's like very like bleak and sad and kind of an effective way of just showing the like darkness of the world, that like that this guy is the only place where she can find someone who's like remotely, you know, and even he's like, I feel like by the end of the movie, he's like totally
Ladies,
insane.
can we relate? The only good guys are on a different planet.
Yeah, then he's like totally insane. He's like totally cracked by the end of the movie. He's like pretending to be a chicken at one point, and like he just seems like he's like lost his mind being on this planet.
Well, he does kind of slowly like lose his mind and lose his purpose because he wants to ultimately like do good in this world, right? But like what happens is he tries to do good and bad shit keeps happening.
I feel like we never really like were in that phase of him trying to do good. Like I always felt like he had like,
you think he was nefarious from the start?
No. Like, well, from the start of the movie, like I think it's like the place in which the movie picked up, he was in a state already of like just being fucking hammered. Like
he's already pretty like bitter and disillusioned. It seems that is true.
I didn't feel like there was this arc of like he started out with like great intentions and was,
we
like,
didn't see him from his starting point. We caught him in the
20 years into it,
just after the peak. So we caught him on just the beginning of his downfall, and then we end with him in the full pits of despair.
Yeah, I might have missed that. It was like only the beginning because it already felt like he was.
But he still, I think, had a good heart. He still had pure intentions. Whereas by the end of the movie, he basically is entirely hopeless and kills a bunch of people. So I would say that that's pretty stark contrast to where he is. Maybe not fully, because he is dreaming about killing people earlier in the film.
And he is trying to save that, like the wise man Buddha or whatever his name is. And then he finds the guy and he was like totally disappointed by the guy. And you know, he's spent like, that's like the only real plot thread for like the first hour and a half of the movie is just him looking for this, like, I don't remember what he is. He's a writer or philosopher or something like that. And then eventually he like does find him and is not impressed with the dude's like solutions for how to fix problems.
Yeah, I don't remember Budak's like solutions. Like it was just like, let's wait it out, right? Something like that. It was like, let's let time happen.
Is this the guy that said you have to like kill the people in power, the strongest people? And then he responds by saying something like, well, then just the strongest of the weak will step in your place. Yeah. Yeah,
he's basically just like not solving any systemic problem. Well, he's basically offering like the most boilerplate individual-based solution to a problem that's much larger. Like it's not about like Don Reba or like whoever. It's just about like the system overall, I think, is kind of what Rumata's point of view is. Like, yeah, you can kill these two guys, but then they'll just be replaced with, the strongest
You
of
can't
the weak.
end the structure of a hierarchy by killing the strongest person, because the next
Exactly.
strongest person just steps up and then the hierarchy continues. And I think, yeah, that's around the time when he really starts to lose hope. Basically saying there's no solution to how terrible everything is. Like, it just continues to be terrible. There's no way to solve it without killing people. And even if you kill people, you still don't solve it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Because I think he's like basically spent an hour and a half, like literally dragging himself through shit, trying to find this guy because
He
he's
finds
supposed to be
that
this.
guy, and he finds the one guy who was trapped in the torture chambers at the same around
Right,
the
right,
same
right.
area. He same thing, like goes through all this shit and nasty spaces and trouble and pain and etc. to try and get to this guy and free him out of that cell. And then he
Mhm.
does free him, and that guy tries to escape and is instantly killed. So like,
Just gets the arrows.
Yeah,
in
he's
the
killed
Yeah.
off camera too. It's kind of sad, like you don't.
yeah, he gallops away on a horse. We hear something mentioned about guys with arrows, or like, where's the arrow guys? And then we
Yeah.
see him dead with a bunch of arrows in his back. Yeah.
And they're like throwing like turnips on his body or something like that. Pretty tough way to go.
So like, his work on both fronts, all the trouble that he went through to save these two guys is like shit.
Yeah.
I did like when the guy was having trouble peeing though, and he gives him a good smack on the old kidneys and the pee just
Yeah, that
comes
was
out. That was good.
that was tough. Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough as hell.
But yeah. It is funny 'cause it's not like a huge arc he goes through because Jordan, you are right. He already starts off pretty disillusioned. So it's not
Yeah.
like as dramatic of an arc as like he's idealistic and then cynical.
Yeah.
Like he already starts off like seems like he's already gone a little bit insane.
Yeah, it seems like he's already on that spectrum of like heavy cynicism.
Yeah,
But
I
there
think and
is
he just
definitely a shift where
Yeah,
it
he's
does
pushed
go
over.
way darker. Yeah.
Exactly. But I do think that's kind of interesting in a way too, that like we open on this guy that he's supposed to be this like scientist helping, or one of these people from the future, and we open. That's why I just like, not to be redundant, but I just love the like shot introducing him because it's just like so like gnarly and barbaric. Just him like clambering up onto this table covered in like meat and fish skeletons and like
the opening is amazing, and it like sets you up thinking like you're watching history unfold in this guy. Like I was like frustrated like once it started to feel like every scene was the same after like we see all the scientists. Like I thought we were really similarly to Andrei Rublev getting like these vignettes in these moments, and then it just became like a very redundant experience until like he goes out into that port with all the fires, and like, but I guess I wouldn't argue to cut it down. I'm struggling.
I found it like weirdly mesmerizing at times. Once you kind of accept that nothing's really gonna happen, there is just something about the like sensory experience of watching them. I mean, it sounds very pretentious, but like
It really is a sensory experience.
yeah, and like there is something hypnotic to that too, where I feel like
And very unique. I don't think that
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of films that made me physically feel the environment as much as this film does.
It's
Yeah.
definitely better than Enter the Void.
Never
I
seen
haven't seen it. Yeah.
Don't see it.
it. Okay. Well, I won't. All right, so we do have like a tiny bit of plot left, I think. What happened? The guy's girlfriend gets killed,
Yeah.
and that's when he really decides to pop off.
Yeah. That's
But-
it for him. Yeah. He's going full, Dark Ages.
Full beast mode.
Full he goes beast mode on a guy's intestines and heart, That's for sure.
He uses like his helmet to
Yeah.
like puncture the guy's chest or
Okay, wait,
whatever.
maybe you all can explain this to me. It seems like he gears up.
Yeah,
He
he spends
I
a
was like,
long
okay.
time crawling around his house. Forever,
Exactly,
the
okay.
scene is him
That's it.
crawling around his house, putting on all this various armor.
Okay, I felt like I couldn't
Jordan's
understand what's
dying
happening.
from it.
Yeah, I feel like he's like he gears up. It's cool.
I think he
it's like-
kind of isn't ready to he like is struggling with crossing the line, because that is a line.
Okay.
That's like a hard line for them. They're not allowed to kill people. That's like the one rule.
he's like on crouching by this like cauldron.
So he
And
makes
then
a meal out of gearing up.
Yeah.
Because he says, God, if you exist, stop me. So he's waiting for like some sign that like this shouldn't be what I do.
Okay, that was like
it's
the one
gonna
thing
be-
where I was like, what's happening? Where it keeps cutting between like the blacks kind of like pounding on the gates, you know, and like then to him just like, and it's hard to tell geographically where things are. Is he
Yeah,
like
true.
like where is he spatially? At first I thought he
Yeah.
was like on the ceiling or something like that. He's just
Well,
like
he's also
crouched.
trying to not be hit by arrows because the arrow that
Right.
killed his girlfriend came in like through the window or something. Like
Yeah.
they were inside and she got
Yeah,
hit.
at first I didn't understand
Yeah.
how that what
Yeah,
happened.
that's pretty gnarly too. Like when they turn her over and the arrows like coming out of her
Oh,
nose
yeah.
or something.
yeah.
That was gnarly as hell.
Yeah, definitely. But
That's
yeah,
kinda sick, though.
he puts on the helmet, he kind of waits for a long time, then the people bust into the house looking for like heresies or something like that, and they find like painting they don't like or something.
Heretics, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, heretics. I think they're looking
heretics. Do you say heretic or heretic?
heretic. I don't know. I'm not sure, but they
Intellectuals at me.
yeah. Help us out.
We know what words are, but not how to say them.
Yeah, we'll report you to the gray, the grays. But yeah, let us know.
I think these are the blacks, but go on.
Yeah. Right. At this point, it's the blacks. Yeah,
They bust down the door and
they bust down the door, and then he just spends a while like standing like nose to nose with them.
Mhm.
And again, there's like stuff in the way, pushing things away, and then he just gores one of the guys.
Gores them. What a great word. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because he does.
Yeah, and he takes his time too, because there's just a while where they're all just kind of standing there for some reason.
For some reason, I remember them like having like spears or something, and he just pushes them out of the way. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, that does happen.
He's like invincible or something.
Well, they're not trying to. It feels like they're not trying to kill him. They're looking for.
They wanted to use him first. They were trying to convince him to help lead the slave uprising, which he refuses to do.
That's the guy who's talking about the earthly technologies. He's like, use your earthly technologies to help us.
Yeah.
And that's who the blacks are looking for.
They ultimately want him to help them. They want him on their side. Nobody wants to kill a god, too.
Yeah.
He has convinced everyone in power that he is a god. That was the whole conversation with the guy with the hide on his head, was him convincing him, I'm a god, I'm with you all the time, I've seen what you do with little boys, or whatever he says.
Yeah, that was a weird scene.
But he gores the man, and that shoots out blood. Just blood, like,
everywhere. His face is covered.
Yeah.
One of several scenes where someone's face is just covered in, like, thick blood. Something, yeah. At least this time we could probably intuit it's blood, which I don't know if that's better or worse than shit, but...
Half the time you don't know, right?
Half the time you don't know. And so in a way I found it more comforting to know, like, yeah, that's just blood, not like...
They mentioned something like towards the beginning of the movie about like sniffing alcohol or rubbing alcohol or something like this. Oh yeah, he says somebody brings a cup of some kind of liquid. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming some kind of alcohol.
Damn, I thought that was shit.
He goes,
I thought like they were literally dipping their hand into
really?
shit
It looked more
sniffing.
liquefied to me.
Well,
than
like
shit.
diarrhea. Like I'm not kidding you. Like that's what I thought.
Oh, you mean what they're putting on
like,
their face, not what's in the cup?
I remember.
Because he goes, why drink? Everyone
their
rubs.
finger. Did someone not take like all 5 fingers and put them in that cup and then go like that? I remember that.
That may have happened.
Yeah.
If the whole thing is...
100%.
Because first of all, we don't know. Let's just make that clear. Nobody knows.
Yeah. Certainly not us, yeah.
But my interpretation after I heard that line was like maybe some of what they're rubbing on their face is some kind of like alcohol or some sort of substance that fucks them up. Because they're all drunk all the time, but we don't see them drinking that much either. But we do see them rubbing a lot. And then he says, why drink?
Inhalants.
Everyone rubs. When somebody brings a cup that to me looks like a wine or something, but nobody knows. It's
a pretty advanced society that doesn't drink but uses inhalants. You know what I mean? I feel like they are kind of ahead for the dark ages, right?
I don't know.
Probably
depends on what it's made out of too.
True.
And they're always just shoving shit in their face, like literal
constantly.
shit. What if it was like made out of mushrooms or something? I don't know. Something that grows out of the ground. They're already shoving ground stuff in their face all the time anyway.
Yeah.
It could have just happened by accident. We don't know though. And it's a different planet too, so like it doesn't necessarily have to be something earthly. Like they could have some kind of weird vegetable that gets you fucked up. Like we don't know.
But they're definitely fucked up.
They're definitely fucked up.
Yeah, that much
time.
we can say with confidence.
That much we can definitely say they are fucked up.
Yeah. When they're like picking through that dude's like guts, you know?
Oh yeah. I do like also in the scene in the scene with the goring, with the goring and the blood shooting out, and around that time, there are chickens like everywhere, flying into people's heads, smacking them around. What do we think about the? Were animals harmed during the making of this film?
I really hope not.
What do we think?
I feel like there's less rules overseas about this stuff. So like
in Russia,
I don't want to spread rumors.
And it's 20 years ago.
Well, it's Czech Republic. This was filmed in Czech Republic, so they're pretty strict there.
They're pretty do you know that for sure?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like that's like a lot of like period productions happen in Czech Republic, so like it's probably more regulated than Russia is.
Some scenes were filmed in Moscow.
Then any of the scenes where they needed to harm animals were probably Moscow.
I hope there are no animals harmed, though. There's definitely scenes with dead animals.
There's lots of dead animals.
Yeah.
And potentially beheaded human beings.
Yeah.
We don't really.
That was done.
Really
that was done for real. Yeah.
There are like fish being slapped around. There's a chicken that's caught with a net. There's the donkey, which we see some of.
Yeah, that donkey was sexually abused for sure.
He was definitely sexually exploited, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Gave his consent for all that, but
yeah.
And then the chickens that are like, they're flying up, they're smacking people in the head, they're being like pushed off and tossed around. There's dogs that are like grabbed, like little puppies that he like grabs up and like steps all over.
There's some great scenes with birds, though. Some good bird choreography, I would say. There's like a nice wide where there's just like birds that fly out of a. I don't remember.
You know, we did forget to talk about like the people that were hanging that they just would pour.
Dude, it's one of my notes. Yeah, it's one of my notes.
They would pour this stuff on people so that birds would peck out their eyes or vultures.
Yeah,
like it was like they were like excited to see the vultures peck people's eyes out.
Yeah, I didn't note those like why are they pouring liquid on hanging bodies? And then like later I could write, it was like, okay. Like I wish that wasn't explained.
It was. We forgot to put that in like the wettest section though. Like the wettest.
That is pretty wet.
That's a pretty big addition to that. Significant.
Yeah. That's a pretty devastating time for the main guy too, right? When he walks through all those hanging bodies.
I guess like we do see him frustrated that the bodies are hanging.
That was like
damn.
That was like the king and his family, I think, and that was like the signifier that the blacks took power.
Yeah, that's right.
That was like a tone shift moment in the movie. That was like
he's a little cross. He's a little cross when he sees that.
He seems a little sad even, or just like dejected. Like that was like a couple minutes of the film where the unrelenting grossness and wetness kind of relented for a minute, like where it went away for a moment so that you could spend a moment sort of mourning all the people that were just murdered and what has happened. Because I think the whole thing with the blacks is that they're like even more religious and even more insane than the Greys, and the Greys were in power. And so now the blacks are taking over. It's even worse.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
We also didn't mention the huge, like, dick on a spring that is like a torture device.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up. That was on my gross out list, but I didn't really want to talk about it because it was so upsetting to me.
It is upsetting.
And so I specifically didn't mention it, but yeah, that was fucked. That was fucked.
Yeah.
I've seen things like it a lot though, so
okay, interesting.
Yeah. Hold
on. Would you like to elaborate or?
No, but I'm just saying, it's
yeah, and you see the Burn After Reading, the George Clooney machine. He builds one of those in Burn After Reading.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when that was the moment where it looked really cool in the trailer when Ramada puts like the black tar over his face.
Oh my god, I remember thinking like that was like gonna be this iconic moment, but it's like not. I thought
it was like tar or mud, but then
yeah, I mean it's just holy shit.
Yeah,
like,
that was.
But it's like this trailer, the way it's cut together, it really looks.
I haven't watched the trailer, so I don't know.
We watched it 8 years ago or something.
Yeah, it also makes
this is your memory of the trailer.
Yeah, that like shot stays with you in the trailer.
Yeah, it is really cool.
It's like you think it's like some weird like ritual or like not in the context of the movie, But you watch this trailer and you're like,
what could this?
what
Yeah,
the
it
fuck
makes
am I?
your
Yeah,
imagination runs wild.
because it looks like the material that like would then become like, you know, like it's not like war paint, but like that stuff that like what are those kind of doctors that like had the long noses called?
The plague
like,
doctors?
Yeah, it looked like almost plague doctory, if you
Mm-hmm.
will. If you, Josh, would you grant me that? Would you
Grant
say?
you?
Riddle me this, Josh.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm not sure.
Please
Why do we
say,
think?
I grant you this?
Why
one.
do we think he wiped the blood all over his face in that scene? Was that
Yeah.
like part of the tonal
And why was
shift?
it so thick? It was so thick too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what was the reason for it being so thick?
Are both of these
And
questions coming
voluminous.
to me? What's my opinion of the thickness of the blood and why it's being wiped on his face?
The viscosity is
Viscosity.
just insane.
Okay, yeah.
It is pretty gloopy.
Because everything in this film is gloopy. Nothing is its
Yeah.
original viscosity.
None of the blood I've ever shed has been that thick.
But, well, they're also alien creatures. I mean, they are humanoid, but
That is true.
Damn, I didn't think of that.
they are from another planet. So that could be a thing.
That probably explains also why they just immediately freeze up as soon as he like grabs their faces and don't do anything.
It's
Yeah,
like
he
the same as
loves-
when you grab a cat from its neck or whatever.
Yeah, he's always grabbing people's noses and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He's like,
I
Yeah.
thought
he,
he
like, breaks-
breaks their nose, yeah.
so many people's noses are broken in just like the dumbest way.
They're just like helpless. You
Yeah.
know? Like they can't like fight him.
It is
or
like a
something.
cat or like a something like that. Or he just like
Well,
never
he also
doesn't.
is like a god. Like they don't
Yeah.
want to hurt him or upset their god because they believe that he is the son of this god, and they can't fuck with him. He's untouchable, basically.
Yeah,
Honestly, it is such a great premise. You know.
back to the Jordan's gripe with the plot description.
That's why, like, he's the only one who lives as extravagantly as he does. Like, it's his house that everyone's in, you know? Everyone's doting on him all of the time. He's untouchable, but nobody else in this film is untouchable. Everyone's nose is broken. Everyone's, you know, beaten or whipped or having chunks
you know-
taken out of their ass or something.
No one else has any amount as near like the cured meats and sausage that he has. You
He's
know,
also
No
so
one-
clean. He's
Yeah.
cleaner than anyone else, and he mentions being clean as like something that only people in a position of power have
Mhm.
multiple times throughout the movie. Like, people who are to be respected are clean. They need to stay clean. His clothes are white and clean, and no one
It also
else
seems
are.
like he's doing it almost like aspirationally too. So people, because I think he like criticizes people at times for being dirty. It
Mhm.
seems like he's trying to like get it going. Like he wants people to start like cleaning themselves.
Hygienically,
so it seems-
working towards something a little bit better.
Yeah, it seems like he's trying to kind of like present people with an alternative to just like never washing themselves ever, you know?
Yeah.
There is a interesting thematic tie, I think, between like this and Strugatsky's like Stalker, and that being just like about like alien visitors that leave technology behind and like the lack of technology being, you know, like knowing that like they think they can have access to this technology or something, but he doesn't grant it. And in Stalker, it's like these people that kind of have access to this zone of like technology, but they don't really harness it either. The Strugatskys are pretty high concept guys. I guess this doesn't, I don't know if this opens up another discussion or if it's worth going down that, but I do like that both pieces like explore it, you know.
There was definitely that similarity of like, well, it's almost like they're inverse. parts of the
Exactly,
same coin.
yeah.
Yeah, because in Stalker, it's like the other beings pass through
And don't
Earth.
interact, yeah.
But and they like, because they don't care, because that's why it's called like roadside picnic. Like we're just like a stop on the highway and they just leave their trash behind. Because in Stalker, that's like what the zone is. It's basically just
Yeah.
like a trash, like refuse from like these aliens passing through, because like that's how little we mean to them. Whereas in this, it's almost like the flip side of the coin, where
It's like a zoo that they can
Exactly.
experience, like a living zoo.
and they're interested, they're beyond interested, you know, they're so interested, they live among the people trying to influence things and literally like going insane with their inability to like elevate this feudal society. So that, but they're still like,
I
just
keep
as,
forgetting. It's funny because like even with this conversation, like I like didn't think of them as aliens, but they're interacting with aliens, and like they remind you at the beginning of the movie that they're aliens. They're not people, right? Like that's literally stated.
You know, and
in
Kayla, when you
voiceover.
said that just a second ago, I had the same exact like moments. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Like they're not
That's
humans.
like why they might
yeah,
be. I just totally
me
fucking
too.
forgot.
Yeah,
And that's a great. Let's get. This is a 5-star movie.
yeah.
Because they more or less look like people, but they are kind of, we did mention they're lumpy. They're lumpier than normal people.
Quite lumpy.
You're saying like
The aliens.
they were hard to look at times, but like other than that,
Like they have eyes, nose, mouth. Like they look
Mm-hmm.
recognizable as human, but
They have genitalia. We saw a lot of it.
yeah. They piss. They have kidneys, but like, we don't know.
They work the same as us, I guess.
They have intestines and heart.
Yeah,
I guess we didn't consider the idea that like they all liked what was going on emotionally. Maybe.
You mean
Yes.
they were happy and comfortable enough with their circumstance that they
we
weren't willing
didn't
to
consider
change.
that they were content.
I'm pretty sure there's a few scenes where like there's that dude that's like, you should, like, if God exists, he should just destroy everything. There's some people that I think express discontent with the way of the world.
I think I'm joking.
Okay.
About the last part.
But we don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so where are we in the story? We were just at the
I think we were at the disembowelment, and then
we're at the
like
disembowelment, which was pretty sick.
yeah, that was definitely the biggest gross out for me.
You think so?
I don't think I've seen that. Like, I don't watch a lot of gory movies, so
Mhm.
I could be just not desensitized to that sort of thing enough. It
Yeah,
turned
like,
my stomach.
You missed out all the Cronenberg body.
Yeah, I don't watch much.
Like,
I don't.
You know.
I haven't watched much Cronenberg.
I will say
yet.
I watch a lot of nasty stuff, like probably too much. And since watching this, actually, it's I'm becoming a little more aware of how much nasty stuff that I watch.
Interesting.
Well, because so after watching this, I was like, I need to watch something normal where people are dry and nobody's puking and like something normal. And I kept putting on things that I had seen before and being like, I need something normal. I'm going to watch this thing. And then it's like somebody with an ear infection and we see like the pus get popped out of it and then he spits in somebody's drink or like something.
Mhm.
And so now I'm just becoming a little more aware of it. And I just did an episode on Dogtooth for Patreon.
Damn, you've been watching a lot of the nasty. I haven't seen Dogtooth, but I've heard that's incest heavy.
There's I wouldn't say incest heavy. There is incest, but it's not incest heavy.
I think any amount of incest is heavy.
I wouldn't even call the incest heavy. Like, it's not incest heavy, and I wouldn't call the incest in it heavy. That's another thing. Anyway, the guest I had on for that film was like, said to me, like, Kayla, I don't know how you like watch these things, but like all the time, because it's like very troubling to me.
Who was the guest?
Hannah Gamble. She is a poet, and she created a web series called Choose Me, an Abortion Story about a abortion. Anyway, so it's just becoming more apparent to me that I watch so much nasty stuff. Anyway, all that to say that I watch a lot, and this still felt very disgusting to me, particularly disgusting, and at time I was eating through a lot of it, and that
Why?
that was complicated for me, and I don't normally have that issue. So like it was particularly
What were you consuming?
Well, I watched
like
this in
thick-
2 sittings. So
Yeah, I'll admit I watched it in 2 sittings as well.
yeah.
I did it in 1.
Wow, trooper.
But my hypothyroid kicked in a couple times.
I can't remember specifically. I think I had like some ramen. There was some popcorn.
Did it
Can't
affect
remember.
the taste at all, or
It made me a little ill at certain points. Yeah, a little ill. And I'm just not normally like very squeamish at all. But this was just so like, there was so much of it. Like I said, it was like so unrelenting. Like every frame, every time the camera turns around, like something disgusting is happening. And you see, it's not just like somebody's picking up shit and rubbing it on their face. It's like you saw the shit come out of the ass.
Yeah.
And now it's on the face. You know, like it's
Yeah,
like
I
it's
just-
Kind of
over
an
the top.
innovation. It's
Yeah.
sort of an
one of the things is like I was just very desensitized, even though I'm calling this a very disgusting
Yeah.
movie. I wasn't like reactionary, like I just like kind of like was getting tired of it, you know, not like I was like, I've seen this before, you know.
You've
when it
seen
was
this?
happening.
I had never seen anything like this. I guess I don't watch it. But
Jordan's admitting to having seen some things
and
on
like
this podcast.
yeah, definitely like the spring-loaded device, you know, like learning a lot about. Yeah, the first night I watched it because I watched it. Yeah, I watched this the exact way the director intended it, which is over multiple sittings and on a 15-inch laptop screen.
Incredible.
Which is and the first night I was eating cheese puffs and had to stop eating them because I was like,
well, cheese puffs are completely fucking disgusting.
No, they're great.
But they melt in your mouth.
Yeah, and these ones I could not enjoy because something felt wrong. Yeah.
Like little turdies.
It's kind of cool that a movie evoked that at least.
Oh yeah, totally turned my stomach many times.
I think that's unique. That's unique for me because I'm not normally made sick by anything. One of my favorite movies in the world is a really disgusting movie called Relaxer. Have you guys seen?
No.
Well, you gotta watch Relaxer.
Let me look it up. Relaxer.
Relaxer, 2018 film directed by Joel Petrakis.
It seems like an irony title there. Irony-driven title.
It's about a guy who does a challenge to get to this level of Pac-Man that's like impossible to get to, but he is not allowed to get off of the couch or like at all. He can't lay down on the couch. He can't stand up. He can't do anything till he reaches the end of this video game. But it takes like a full year. So
it's like the sloth killing in the movie Seven, you know?
I don't know. I don't remember Seven.
It's a narrative, right? Not a documentary.
True. Yeah. I've actually had 3 people from the film on the podcast. So some of them multiple times. So you should watch Relaxer because I think you'll like it.
Based on my experience of this film, I'll check it out.
Both of you. It starts with the milk challenge. So.
Oh, I've seen that happen in person though, in real life. So that.
It was inspired by real life events.
What was the milk challenge?
Are you okay?
No, I have a cough right now. But what was the milk challenge?
You're having COVID on the podcast.
No, I already had COVID. I had it last week.
Hell yeah.
It was good, though. It was better than this.
Yeah, better than the long COVID you're currently experiencing.
Yeah. What was the question? I forgot already.
What's the milk challenge? And should I do it?
When you have to drink a gallon of milk within, I think it's like an hour or something.
That's horrible.
Jordan Brett did it. Our PA Brett.
I believe I've done it, though.
No, you have not done it, dude.
So like the filmmaker of Relaxer used to do it with his friends like in college all the time where they would have a party and do it and then everybody would puke but like whoever goes the longest without puking like wins. But then he's like when you get to the last person who's puking has drank an entire gallon of milk so when they puke it's like a full gallon of milk worth of puke.
I'm surprised that
pretty cool.
Anyway, this is not we've already done an episode on Relaxer, and
this movie has enough puke of its own.
Yeah. Anyway, watch Relaxer, everybody. Josh is coming back on the pod. Josh Burge, not you, who stars in Relaxer, coming back on the pod again soon. Anyway, where were we in the?
We've basically been stuck on.
The scientists come back. They find Ramada after Ramada's like killed a bunch of people. Right. And they're kind of like time to get going, pal. And he's like, I can't go back. Right.
He broke the rules. Now he has to suffer the consequences.
I've become one of them.
Yeah. I guess in the book, he does go back to Earth, but in the movie is exiled from their community, but he stays on the planet. And he makes the decision to remain in exile versus leave their planet. I don't know.
I didn't really understand the exact ending, but I really loved the part where he's wearing like modern glasses.
Yeah, I liked that too.
That was like one of the coolest parts of the movie. And that's like the only time where you really see the like sci-fi and it's literally just like a pair of glasses as like the most modern technology in the movie. But I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, which is a good idea.
And then I did like the saxophone at the end and the people talking about how they didn't like.
Yeah, because it hurt their stomach or something like that.
It's like a great like.
Yeah, there's like a little kid like struggling to play like a tuba and it's like going really poorly and then he comes through like Kenny G style and like busts out this sax like
I had a that's really funny you said that because I had a Kenny G analogy about this movie.
Okay.
Jordan called me right before we did this, asking if he should say this.
No,
on
I
the
didn't
episode.
ask. I was like, do you think you
He
can?
asked for your permission.
No, I was like, do you think you can banter off of this? And
You were pitching ideas for your conversation.
Yeah.
exactly,
We had it all mapped out.
And
I love this.
this one almost didn't make the cut, but
Now
my
it's in.
But now I've kicked it off.
Yeah,
and now
that's
you
right.
have to.
yeah, because you said Kenny G. I said it's like I showed it to my like roommate who's a jazz musician, and I'm like, you know what this is? It's like if like you take someone to like you promise them chicoria, but you give them like a night's worth of Kenny G, not just like a slim 40-minute chicoria set. You give them 4 hours of Kenny G.
Yeah.
And
that's disappointing to you.
I disagree with the analogy now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 3 hours of Kenny G, not 4. Yeah, it's not accurate. Yeah, the recorder playing at the beginning of the movie, he's like really sucking the recorder for a while, and then he gets going.
It's not a recorder though.
I think
like
it's a sax.
It is a soprano-looking sax that is not actually a sax either. It's just some like.
It looks like a cross between like a clarinet, a recorder, and a saxophone. So
I
it's
called
like a
it
stick.
an oboe in my notes at first.
Couldn't
tell you what an oboe is either, though. They're kind of all the same thing. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
some woodwind.
Yeah,
something.
but this one had 3 keys on it and only 3 keys.
Some kind of weird flute.
Well, that's like a trumpet, right? Trumpets only have 3 keys. maybe.
Good point.
It was the sound of a sax though.
Anyway, yeah. So that's and I mean it's all done in post anyway, so it's not like he was actually using it,
Yeah.
So it's definitely like a saxophone in post. But
He's just miming the instrument.
yeah. At first I found it annoying, and then I kind of liked it.
Hell yeah.
I liked it the whole time.
The sax?
Exactly. Not the movie.
Okay. I also liked that part. Well, we get a titular line in there too.
Twice.
Yeah, we have one that's an actual titular line and one that's very close,
Very
but
close.
not quite.
That's
Yeah.
right. We have one where the guy looks into the camera and almost says the title of the movie, and then
Yeah.
gets a finger jammed up his nose.
Yes.
I thought that was so funny. It's like a meme. Like you look into the camera and say the title of the movie, and he like basically did it in the movie.
Yeah.
Sick.
No, it was awesome.
I believe he does say though it is hard to be a god.
That's
or
what. Yeah,
something like
the second time
Oh,
he does
okay,
do the
all right.
actual title. Yeah, but he's like a god. A god can be tired too.
Yeah.
He says, "If you write about me, write that it's hard to be a god." And then you go, "Oh," he said.
Hey! Now it was all worth it.
And then he falls asleep in his furs.
I
Yeah.
believe that the director never intended the movie to be titled Hard to be a God.
That's true. There was some contention.
I think it was like the Fall of Arcanor or like the
What- there's
There were
also-
like 3 different titles.
One of them was like what the tobacconist said was like one of the titles or something like that.
Thank God they didn't go with that.
No.
But like
Yeah.
I think we should take that. I think
If we had
should
to
take
say
that.
tobacconist throughout
Yeah.
this podcast, no,
Yeah, that'd be
thank you.
rough. Hard to be a
No.
god's a great title.
Hard to be a tobacconist.
It is hard in this day and age. Yeah.
we kind of glossed over the fact that there is this guy that can grow tobacco in the movie.
Yeah,
We glossed over that entirely.
you're right. We glossed over actually a lot of like
Yeah.
the things that happen in this film because ultimately most of them are unimportant.
Yeah.
And we were discussing larger themes and elements, but but I mean like the actual like things that happen, they're largely
Yeah.
unimportant.
Yeah.
Would you agree or disagree, Jordan? Lots of smiling.
I
I'm wondering what's behind it.
I just I find the whole thing entertaining. Like the situation that like we put you through this movie, we put ourselves through
Yeah.
this movie.
It is very
And
funny.
then like the discussing of the movie is much better than the actual experience of watching it,
Thank
which
you.
is tainting. Yeah, it's like really tainting how I feel about the movie, because like
Because you're having such a great time that you're associating positive feelings with the film.
I know, and it's like I almost like am gonna look back at like the slog of watching it with like fondness now.
Aww.
I agree. I already like the movie, and like I already feel like I'll have even more nostalgia just because talking about it has been. Yeah.
I'm taking
So-
this as
so-
a huge compliment.
Yeah.
From both of
Yeah,
you.
Definitely.
You've crushed it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's also like a
Wow.
I,
fun movie.
I also like that you have a podcast called ScreenVomit, and like I feel like there's a connection to like this movie.
A lot of
know,
screen
that, like-
vomit on this in this film.
Yeah. Well, so when I started this podcast, I used to have a co-host, and he had like a folk punk band called ScreenVomit. And so when we were making the podcast, we go, how can we make something that's like having to do with movies, but lets people know that we're also kind of fucked up. So we go Screen Vomit. But yeah, it does fit.
Yeah, as much of a slog as the movie is in
and
a
then
way.
my favorite film is Relaxer, which has like a famous puking scene.
Vomit, yeah, the milk. Yeah. How would you compare the vomiting scene in that to this movie? It's vomit.
Well, I would say when I was thinking about this movie and I know like a lot of my discussions of Relaxer with other people are other people saying this movie is so gross. Mm-hmm. Not that it's necessarily even a bad thing or anything, but just like it's noticeably disgusting. And I was like, that's my favorite film ever. Maybe not ever, I don't know, but it's one of my favorites. So I was comparing the two, but I mean they're almost incomparable because they're so fucking different, but also similarly, I think when we get to rating, I almost want to be like, how do you rate something like this, because it's not like anything else.
Mm-hmm. You rate it on like a star scale, so you start off with like that.
But it's just the same way I felt about when I watched Relaxer. I was like, this movie is unlike anything I've ever seen. So knowing that that's true to me, how do you rate it when you can't compare it to anything else? You can't say like this is better than or worse than or similar to, or I rate this movie 4 stars and therefore by comparison this is something else. Like it's almost impossible to achieve because it's so unlike anything.
Yeah.
All the things that I was comparing it to have a common thing in that they are like these more experiential as opposed to like.
I've also, for the record, not seen any of the movies that you've said, I don't think. So
it
could be that I just don't know. But that was the same about Relaxer, is like there are other movies like that movie, but I hadn't seen them then.
I would say that, like, with the exception of, I mean, even Andrei Rublev is pretty experiential, but like Come and See and Son of Saul definitely, like, they do rely heavily on like this kind of crazy visual style and almost a new visual style and a new way of like approaching sound to their movie. You should check out Son of Saul and Come and See.
They're both on my list. I did another film for the podcast called Tower that somebody told me was similar to Son of Saul, but I have no idea. Just in the way that they were filmed. Are you familiar with Kazik Radwanski's work at all? This is the type of shit. I only know stuff that nobody else ever has heard of. I've never seen anything normal.
Is Tower partially animated? Is it about the guy that shoots people from a... All right,
no.
Then it's not.
There's probably several movies called Tower, but Kaz is like a Toronto filmmaker, like indie filmmaker. He has like 3 or 4 features. He just had one come out called Anne at 13,000 Feet. Anyway, he has like a style where he shoots like really close to the face, and it's almost like suffocatingly close and never leaves that area. You never see like any zoom out of anything. The whole film is shot in close-ups of people's faces.
Wow.
So somebody told me, and I don't know if this is true or not because I haven't seen the film, but somebody told me that Son of Saul had some of that in it as well.
It's almost like it is like stylistically a third-person movie that is very claustrophobically like close to the, you know, you're seeing everything as if you're right behind the character, you know, like with him.
Yeah.
It's really stunning.
Yeah.
And horrible, or horrifying. It's really amazing. But it's like the technique is, I mean, like, I think it's undeniably that effective. This movie that we're talking about is, you do have like an evocative reaction to it. So how do you evaluate that is a good question, because I started off wanting to evaluate it with a mean, bad rating, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Have we gotten there, or are we not there?
We have basically like rolled the credits. Like he's exiled and then it's credits and the credits are silent and that's it. The movie's over. So unless we've missed anything that you guys wanted to touch on.
The post-credit scene where we're given the sneak peek of the sequel, you know, Hard to Be a God too.
Oh yeah, the Hard to Be a God cinematic
That's
universe.
Right. Yeah. Tony Stark shows up and is like, yeah, we need a jacked, demented man. Yeah. Who loves ripping people's like intestines out
with big smooth titties.
Yeah.
To join our team.
I'm surprised he didn't buzz his head earlier, because his hair is wet and matted the whole movie, and like there's so many times like, man, that looks so uncomfortable. So
yeah,
I know. This movie made me want to get a haircut, and then I did.
But it's like everybody has long hair, right? Does everybody?
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in the film.
Everybody in real life. Yeah, I think so. I think everyone except like the young boy has like a short haircut. And there's like that woman who's like kind of naked who has like a buzz cut or like a shaved head. where like the little prince is. And
But
yeah,
it's fairly common for I guess there are a couple bald people.
but yeah,
it's
yeah, no,
fairly
you're
common
definitely
in
right.
the
You're
film
definitely
for
right.
people to have longer hair, right?
Yeah, you're
I
definitely
just
right.
felt like when, or maybe it was the beard. I don't know, but I felt like when he had a haircut, not only it was like startling for his character, but like just in the world, it seemed like he didn't fit in that world.
True.
Being trimmed like that. That's all.
Definitely. Yeah, with the glasses as well. He looked, it was very
I don't even
interesting.
remember the glasses. You guys are talking about the glasses a lot, and I was not even on
It
my
was
radar.
like this amazing moment that
he's like
you see him
crouched
like
over
in close up
yeah.
from overhead or like a high angle. It's like it's brief. It's like
fast,
if you one could miss it if like they were like, I mean, the movie is so dense.
Yeah,
with
it's
like
very easy to miss
that,
lots of stuff.
But the end, by contrast, also is pretty stark. Like when they're taking him away, they're like, not only is the entire, it's not rainy there, it's snowy. Everything is different. It's snowy. There's nothing around. It's just kind of nothingness. It's very opposite to everything else that's been in the film. Right?
Yeah,
the glimpses of the places outside of like our main locations. It's like so nice when he like went to that like kind of swampy, marshy landscape. It was like a nice visual break from like,
you need it. Yeah,
it's like what the movie could have also been. You just think about all the possibilities of like, you know, had it like been in the right hands like ours, you know, like you would truly have like not only something watchable but like, you know, possibly much better.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is we've explored every aspect of this film. You have nothing more to say or that needed to be mentioned specifically about the film. So now we can get into rating. So I'm going to ask y'all what you want to give this out of 5.
I would give it like a 4 or 4.5 or something. I mean, I just thought it was like an incredibly unique, very cool movie that was difficult to watch. But like, I think once I adjusted myself to what the movie was going to be, I really was hypnotized by it. And, you know, it was like very troubling, and I definitely like messed up my sleep the 2 nights I watched it. But I thought it was very cool.
Oh yeah, what was the break point for you? Like, what was the pause point for both of you guys, real quick? Like,
I don't remember.
You both watched it over. No,
for me it was about an hour in, but it wasn't necessarily like, oh, this is like so grueling, I need to stop. It was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something.
Yeah, I think I was just too tired. I think I like started it too late.
Awesome. I started this on the second day of like being bedridden with cramps, so it was also like
tough time too.
Very pain situation. It was just a lot at the moment.
Yeah,
I didn't really have the option to take a break, but I wish I did. But I did have to rewind it by like 5 minutes twice.
Yeah.
I do think this movie, like rating it is like weird because like you said, it's so different from other movies. And I mean, there are references that jump to mind, like Andrei Rublev did jump to mind, Jordan, you know, like there are comparisons, but it just feels so much of its own thing that I feel like I just had to, I feel like I have an easy time giving imperfect movies high ratings if it feels like they're unique. And if it's like nothing I've seen. I feel like this is one of those cases where it's like, yeah, it was like a little rough and like it wasn't perfect and had, you know, it was a punishing, brutal movie, but it was just so unique and interesting and
you
weird.
Respect it.
Totally.
I think I just kept wishing it was these other films. Like I kept wishing it was just like Andrei Rublev. And I feel like I would be shamed by a handful of friends for like wanting something that is just the same experience as that. But like that being said, if we're gonna just go back to the ratings, I would put it at a 3.5 out of 5, which is
all right.
You know, it's not unwatchable.
But you also think 3 is unwatchable.
Yes.
Okay,
so just barely.
Okay, so you're slightly above unwatchable on this one.
Yeah.
But I think that you guys ultimately have a similar opinion, is that you don't think it's perfect, you don't think it's structurally or emotionally what you want out of a movie, but you respect it a lot.
I would recommend other movies to most people, but I can imagine recommending it to some people in my circle.
Okay.
Which is, you know...
Liked it enough to be able to recommend it.
I think if you're like...
A sicko.
Slightly masochistic.
An absolute sicko.
I think if you're like a little bit like masochistic and you don't want to like enjoy your night and potentially like if you want someone to break up with you, you could put on this movie and say things like, "Oh man, isn't this the greatest movie of all time?" Like
this would be a great like projected on the wall at a party.
I do that you know.
That might be actually like the ideal vibe for
totally.
this film.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
What would you give it?
Like I said, I struggle because of what I said earlier. Like, it's not like anything else. I don't think it's hard to compare it to anything else. But I think ultimately I respect it. I respect it so much. The set of it all is so impressive to me. Just how everything looked was so impressive to me. I don't even know how you begin to like accomplish what they accomplished in this film visually and viscerally.
Yeah.
That is like so fucking sick to me. Were we missing things in the plot and the story? Yes. You know, I've watched many things that are hard to follow or that are complicated to follow or that are like even things that are completely nonsensical, like you literally cannot follow, and enjoyed them. But I felt like the beginning of this film, I was so lost that like it almost wasn't enjoyable because I didn't feel like I was lost enough that I could let go. I felt like there was something I wasn't catching, you know? So what do you give it when that's what I think?
I
think we all ultimately think about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to go, I think just the set was so impressive to me. I think I'm going to go 4, but I struggle between 3.5 and 4. Because also I think the sound took me out of it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So then what do you do? But the set was so impressive and so cool. And the fact that it was able to make me sick, I think is an achievement.
Yeah. It definitely like brings you, it either pulls you into it or brings itself into the world, which I think is a cool,
I literally felt like juicy. Like I felt gross.
Yeah.
And I don't have, like, that doesn't happen to me really. It doesn't reach outward to me very often. So I think that that's an achievement. And I think that that's something worth noting.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, are you having more thoughts?
Yeah, I am just thinking it's hard to follow Hard to Be a God. And I think that has double meaning there because like it's hard to follow it with anything, but also is hard to follow. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
But you're sticking with 3.5.
Like you, 3.5. Yeah, I think there's not much else like it, and I don't recommend it. I
don't know if I would recommend the entire film to anyone.
You can't just turn off a movie. I've only done that a few times, but you can't do that.
And it does.
It's a bad thing to do that. This was 7 years of production and 7 years of post, and 30-something years of this guy's life. I think
you're right, and I don't think that like.
I take back everything I said about don't watch this movie. Even
if I wasn't like forced to watch this film, which I kind of am because I literally had to make it to the end to be able to discuss it with you guys. I think I wouldn't have just turned it off. I have started a lot of movies that I just turn off. That they're unbearable to me, or
that's a sin.
I'm also.
Actually,
there are so many movies on my watch list. I'm not wasting my time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I'm at these days too.
I can watch something that I want to watch.
Same with books also these days. I will drop a book because I
do not read. Can't, in fact.
I walk out of movies.
Yeah, Jordan, you walk out of movies a lot. I feel like.
Yeah, I walked out of Beauty and the Beast.
I can't blame you for that, but I feel like once you get all the way to the theater, it's going to take a lot to make me walk out of a movie. I don't know if. I imagine I have.
Movie Pass?
I did have Movie Pass. I currently am an AMC Stubs member. I also used to work at the movie theater when I was a teen.
Oh, so. Jordan too.
Yeah.
Jordan used to get us into movies in high school.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so even, I am a person who turns off films at times. But I don't think even with that being true that I would have turned this off because I find the environment so captivating. I was kind of okay, even like as much as I hated being lost in the plot and whatever the fuck was going on, I was kind of okay dealing with it because I found the environment so interesting and unique.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page.
I agree.
Also, one thought about the movie, or just sort of like a connection for anybody into like strange music. One of the ways I heard about this movie is there's this British musician named Richard Dawson, and he put out an album called Peasant. It's a concept album. It's from pretty recent, sometime in the last like 8 years, and he made it after watching this movie. And he said he wanted to create an album that sounded the way this movie looked, like this very creaky, sinewy, gritty, kind of gnarly medieval thing. And so it's a concept.
That's cool.
It's a concept album about medieval times. It's got like different songs for different characters. There's like peasant, ogre, soldier, like shapeshifter, and it sounds a little crazy, but it's really good. So if anybody wants weird music related to this movie specifically, check out that album, Peasant.
Hell yeah. Ari Aster has also cited this film as an inspiration for Midsommar. So
Oh, interesting.
we did that on pod, but unfortunately it is archived. It's in those early episodes. So
I hope
No one will hear it
we were
anymore.
good enough to make it to the
To Maine?
podcast. Yeah.
You were. I've archived my first like 20 episodes, so they're long ago. This is actually what's crazy is this episode is going to come out on the 3-year anniversary of this podcast.
Oh wow.
And it's a 3-hour movie we're doing. Okay.
Ooh.
And a rare 3-person episode. Okay.
Wow.
Like, what's going on here? You know, like, it's kind of too much. It's kind of Jim Carrey number 23, but
Yeah, get the board.
the regular number 3.
That's pretty cool. Hey, congratulations on 3 years.
And it's
of the pod.
March, 3rd month of the year.
True. And technically, this is the 3rd hour, right? It's 10. We started 7.
This is our 3rd hour of recording.
Everything's
This is
coming up
fucked
3s. Damn.
It's literally number 23, but with 3 and me.
And we have to give it all 3 stars. I'm revising my
Oh my
rating.
God.
I'd love
So
to
anyway,
take back.
that's a wild thing that's happening with us right now. Okay, so we can close out the film, but I do still have another segment, unfortunately. Y'all are stuck with my ass for the day. Now it's time for ScreenVomit. In this part of the pod, we just talk about whatever else we've been watching. Movies, shows, whatever else y'all been watching recently, let her rip.
Jordan.
You the Living, Harlan County, USA, Actors by Betsy Brown.
What are these like?
Buffalo
You like it?
66. Yeah, these are all mostly movies I
These are just movies
really
you've
like.
seen in your life that you like, not what you're watching
It's a
lately.
very like joyless recitation of movies, just very dry, just
A list of your favorite films, but that's not films you've been watching lately.
Mutual Appreciation.
These are films
Norma
I've seen.
No, these are the ones I've recently watched. You're not listening to me. I just said I watched them, okay?
No, I know.
All right?
But
All
you've
right.
seen
I
some
watched,
of these before.
I
at
watched
least.
Hannah Haha. I have to watch Hannah Haha tomorrow. God damn it.
Why?
Because I had to get this DCP done. It's like a technical...
Technical thing I wouldn't understand.
No, you would understand. I just got to explain it. It's like movie theaters project DCPs and not film, and the ProRes 422 file will actually be better than the DCP, but it's not going to make a difference to anyone. But you still got to test the movie every time you export it. But you can only test DCPs at a theater. But I can't invite anyone to the theater to enjoy it. So I have to be alone in this theater.
Why?
Even though I wanted to invite, all these people I love, but it's a private thing, and Roger said it's private, like, don't invite
Oh,
people.
he did? I didn't. That's really funny.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I love Roger. A shout out to Roger
Shout
for
out.
getting us a private screening of a movie that we have watched 1,000 times.
You can't even enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy it. I hope. It's a good movie, and I get to see my friends, and not in
person, obviously.
on the
Yeah.
on the
You
screen.
get to
and my
imagine
dad.
seeing your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and daddy.
Josh, you haven't had to watch Hannah Haha in a while.
Had to watch it. No, I haven't been subjected to our film in a while. I'll watch it again soon, probably. My mind's totally on the new stuff. I haven't really.
Same here.
Yeah.
Kayla,
I'll watch it again one of these days.
You gonna be in Massachusetts this summer?
Probably not. I have been in Massachusetts before. I played in Boston.
Boston's the worst part of Massachusetts. I don't want to be controversial on the pod.
Well, I had a great time.
You did? Okay. I live in Worcester, and it's a lot cooler than Boston.
Boston's not as bad as Josh is saying it is, but Worcester is cooler, and that is supposed to be a controversial statement.
Never been to Worcester. How do you supposed to say it?
Worcester.
I
think is
say Worcester.
the technical pronunciation.
Yeah, the technical. Yeah, if you want to be technical about it, you say.
Worcester.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll make it back out there. I'd hope to. I liked being in Boston before. But why did you ask?
No, I'm just saying. There's probably you could probably be in our new movie because we got like 1,000 roles to fill.
Yeah. If you want to be in it, we're trying to.
Wait, if I have a point to coming out there.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys are filming a new feature or what?
Of course.
This isn't plugs yet, but you can tell me about it. Is it low key?
I don't think so, but like I guess now, yeah. Well, off the pod.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it after pod.
This, yeah.
Okay. We can talk about it after pod.
You don't have to cut this part of the pod, but
What we've said so far is acceptable, but just no further is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Very secretive.
Josh, would you like to give your list of what you've been watching lately?
Yeah, well, I watched this movie, Hard to Be a God, that made me kind of sick. And then
Hell yeah.
I rewatched one of my favorite movies, The American Friend. I watched with my mom the other
Never
day.
heard of that. What's it about?
It's a Wim Wenders movie, and it's basically about like this picture framer that is, he's basically made to be like a hitman. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but it's a good like new wave German kind of suspense thriller with like really cool cinematography and great performances.
Hell yeah.
What else I watched? I watched Manhunter recently.
Okay, what do you think about that? Had you seen it before?
I had not seen it before, actually, but I like Michael Mann a lot. And I actually thought it was way better than Red Dragon. And I mean, it's a very weird movie. I kind of enjoyed it more than Silence of the Lambs even, I think, which is...
It looks so much better. Like, it looks like it has a lot more visual dynamics and, like, everything about... I mean, Michael Mann is just a more competent director than the guy who directed...
Well, what I think is really
Silence of
funny
the
is I
Lambs.
actually feel like people criticize Manhunter for being more dated and more 80s, but I feel like when you watch Silence of the Lambs now...
It's not good.
It feels
it's not good.
weird. Well, it's not that it's not good, but I feel like Silence of the Lambs in a way feels a lot more dated than Manhunter in certain ways.
It has not aged as well.
Which is...
I haven't seen Manhunter, but I just know.
to be clear, I haven't seen any of the films where...
We watched Silence of the Lambs, and I didn't think it was good the first time.
Yeah, I've kind of come around.
We've made better movies than Silence.
Yes.
But Silence of the Lambs has like a notoriety or something. Like it hangs around for some reason.
Yeah.
That's Jonathan Demme.
Yeah,
Not an interesting director.
there's shots.
Drag them.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else.
I forgot. I watched American Movie.
Oh,
American
hell yeah.
Movie was amazing.
Yeah, it rips. Had you not seen that before?
I hadn't, and I want Josh to see
Yeah,
it.
I'll check it out soon.
It's inspired so many films. Like
It's beautiful.
yeah, it is.
Oh my
beautiful.
god.
Josh, did you have other entries for your list?
You saw
Googling
Mutual.
stuff?
You saw
Oh
Mutual
yeah, Jordan and I
Appreciation?
we watch Mutual Appreciation. We live in different places, but we watch Mutual Appreciation. We started at the same time and watched it, and then talked about it on the phone.
I'd like to do more of
Yeah, that was fun.
honestly.
That was nice. I enjoyed
Sounds
that.
awesome.
Yeah, that was nice. It was a good movie. I like Mutual Appreciation. And then I watched Z. Z was a movie I really loved.
Z was amazing.
Yeah. Jordan and I, we have actually watched most of the list Jordan gave as a list. I feel like we've watched a lot of the same movies lately, like Norma Ray and Harlan County, that sort of thing.
Very good movie.
Yeah, very, very good movie. So yeah, that's about it for my list, I guess.
Hell yeah. All right, I got some things too.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of shorts on my list for this week. So after watching Hard to Be a God, I did a shorts not a double feature, a double shorts shirt of Pal of the Pod, Alex Kavutskiy's short.
I
Earring.
love Alex Kavutskiy.
Yeah?
Have you seen
That's my
his
friend.
series?
Have you seen
it?
everything he's ever made?
Dude,
he says I'm
you
his
gotta
number one
see-
fan.
Oh my! No, I'm his. I love that one. That's
You can't be his number one fan. I'm sorry.
his.
I have
The one
literally
about like,
watched
how to make
everything he has ever made.
the Christmas one, and then how to make movies. How to like
Alex
what's that-
Kavutski's
what's
Guide
that?
to Filmmaking.
Yeah, I tried to get Josh to watch that, and he should really watch it. You should tell
You should.
Josh to watch it.
Also,
It's so
John
good. It's a
Milstein
great-
stars as Alex Kavutskiy in Alex Kavutski's Guide to Filmmaking.
He's amazing. He's so goddamn funny.
But Diaz, also in Alex Kavutski's Guide to Filmmaking, has been on the pod.
He's in Kavutski's show.
He plays
He
like a
seems
cameraman.
amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah. Kavutski's amazing. He's also my friend. And
So funny.
when I was in LA recently, I took him to see Strawberry Mansion, which is a movie I'd already seen. Kentucker Audley's movie.
Yeah,
Y'all are
the
familiar.
rejectionist.
I had already seen it, but Alex hadn't, and he loved it, and I love it. I love Strawberry Mansion. It's a great film. But the double shorts that I watched was Alex's short Earache And Joey Izzo's shorts, I was there too, which I like to think of as being in the same cinematic universe. Like, Demorge Brown stars in both of them, and I feel like it's a continuation of his character to watch them in that order, Earache, and then I was there too. I love those two shorts together. I love both those filmmakers and watch those shorts.
Damn, you're right, man. Kavutski's amazing. I got to rewatch Guide to Filmmaking.
He's incredible.
It's so good.
Have you seen Earache?
I've seen the Santa one or the Christmas one.
Gilbert's Little Christmas. Actually,
amazing.
The star of Gilbert's Little Christmas is Bud Diaz.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah. He's good.
He's so goddamn funny.
But those are like both really good, but they're not even my favorite.
You
I think Earache is one of the best shorts like that there is. I think it's a perfect short. And then he has a short called Cool Dad Official Trailer, which is on HBO, which was an Adult Swim infomercial. That's also one of my favorites. One of the funniest things there is.
I watch Earache. Is this on easily available?
It's on
Guide to Filmmaking.
You can do both.
The Guide to Filmmaking is so good.
Where can I find these?
They're on his Vimeo, or Earache is on YouTube.
Got it. I'll check them out.
Have you seen Kill the Baby?
I need to see them all.
Okay, you really got to watch Kill the Baby because that's incredible. That's 9 episodes, but it was a Channel 101 thing, so they're all 5 minutes except for the last one.
Damn, I love oh my god. I really got to get back on my Kavutskiy streak.
You have to. He's literally the best. I mean, sorry, Alex, if you're listening. He's also been on the pod.
I love that guy.
He's an incredible writer. He's an incredible filmmaker. So funny. He has a feature, too, you know.
Yeah, it's on Prime.
It's not on Prime anymore.
Yeah.
The only way to watch it now is through a private Vimeo link with password that I can give you if you'd like.
I'll take that. I'll take both. I'll take the password and the link.
I'll email those to you. And if anybody listening wants to watch Alex Kavutskiy's feature on the rocks, send me an email at screenvomitpod@gmail.com. I'll send you the link and password. Okay, I still have a couple things to mention on my list. Another short that I loved called Stilts by Dylan Holmes Williams, who is a very cool shorts filmmaker as well. He does these really cool, like, surrealist, fucked up shorts. Stilts is about, like, a society of people who are all born with stilts on their feet, like, as part of their body, and they have to live that way, and they don't want to, I guess, is really the long and short of it.
Makes sense.
The tall and short, if you will. I watched a whole bunch of Yorgos Lanthimos films. I've been kind of working my way through his filmography, so I rewatched The Lobster, which I had seen previously, and Dogtooth, which I had seen previously, and then I watched Kinetta, which is another feature of his, and Necktie and Nimic, which are 2 shorts that he's done. All of them are amazing. I love Yorgos Lanthimos. Very great filmmaker. Recommend any one of those movies. Dogtooth's my favorite, so watch that. And I watched Batman. Y'all seen this crap?
I have not. Jordan, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, I actually gave it 2.5 stars.
I think that's also what I gave it, actually. Wait, so you think it's unwatchable?
No, actually, I got to reevaluate how I rate things. It's this whole
this conversation has shook you.
Has made my head hurt with just how do I approach this?
Yeah. What did you think about Batman? I mean, you gave it 2.5 stars, but what were your thoughts?
Josh, can you pull up the Letterboxd review?
You can do that, I'm sure.
Is he bossing you?
He's directing. We're directing each other. Jordan, back to 1. Jordan, back to 1. Reset.
I would like you to pull up the review myself.
Fetch me the review, please.
Yeah.
I love Robert Pattinson. I'm a big Pattinson head.
I like him too.
I'm a big Zoe Katz head,
Yeah.
but I thought she was unwatchable and
Yeah.
and I thought, like, I don't understand, why is there a Catwoman character? What purpose does she serve?
I can kind of agree in this film. I don't know if I would necessarily.
Why is there even a Batman in this film? in such a gritty real world, where is there room for a Batman?
Surely,
I did laugh out loud several times in the film, just by them being like so serious but looking so stupid.
Do you know what part was amazing
What?
though? They're on the fucking motorbike, but it's like the only daylight scene, or like one of the only scenes that's like as the sun is like setting, but like it's still too bright, and they're on a fucking motorcycle.
Oh, I saw that on Twitter.
And it's just the most hilarious. Like they look.
Yeah, it looked really funny.
Like it looked like cosplay. I mean, it was just
They look goofy a lot.
The whole Paul Dano twist, like that he's played by Paul Dano, is so frustrating.
Why is that frustrating? I thought Paul Dano did a great job.
No, it's just I knew it was Paul Dano the entire time.
I didn't. I actually forgot. I knew he was in the film at some point, but I forgot. And then when he was revealed,
It's just like
I go,
it's
wow.
just like the movie hinged on it being played by him, and then you already knew it was him because he's in the credits. I don't know.
I thought he did a great job in the film, though. I actually think the casting, sorry, Zoe Kravitz, because I generally don't have anything against her, but I just think she wasn't really good in this film. But I generally think the casting was really good. I was really happy with all the casting choices throughout the film.
I want her to take over Wonder Woman now that she's
Yeah, sure.
gotten
I could see that.
Catwoman.
Because she
I
can
think she
move, but like her and Robert Pattinson, sorry, they have zero chemistry at all. I don't understand. Like he was like asexual, and she's like, "Oh, don't you want to just make out? You love it when I put my lips all on your
I don't
mouth and
know.
stuff."
It was
like,
it
where's
was
this
basically
coming
like she wasn't picking up on his incel vibes.
Oh,
and,
incel vibes. Yes, he absolutely had incel vibes. And
Well, isn't
she's
the
like,
Riddler sort of supposed to be an incel in it too?
He seemed like the most celibate of all of them because he's played by Paul Dano.
That's rude. But have you seen like pictures of when they're doing like press and stuff and they're all together? Like he almost kind of like disappears in the shot because he's like with all these like Hollywood gorgeous people. Sorry, Paul Dano, but I mean he disappears in the shot. Poor little fella, bless his heart. But he's so good in the movie.
Speaking of Manhunter, I saw on Twitter today someone posted the deleted scene with the Joker where Batman's like coming to him. Do you guys see this? Where he's like coming to him for help
No.
catching the Riddler, and it's basically just like
Why would he
it's
help
just
him?
the
They're-
scene from Manhunter when he goes to get help from Hannibal Lecter. You know, it's like the same exact thing.
I gotta
just-
rewatch.
It would be really
Manhunter.
funny if they just cut in a scene from Manhunter.
I mean, they might as well
That
have.
would have been.
I remembered not liking Manhunter, but I think I need to rewatch it.
It's
You
like
got to check out all of Michael Mann's films.
it wasn't as
from
good as Thief,
19
but it was still pretty cool. I thought.
Can I recommend also some shorts because
Yes.
I just watched. I keep rewatching Jack Dunphy's shorts. Are you familiar with his films?
I don't know. Tell me one.
Serenity.
Matthew McConaughey.
No, Serenity.
There's a film with Matthew McConaughey called Serenity.
I think Jack Dunphy should sue Matthew.
You never saw that film or heard about it? It's like Matthew McConaughey lives in like a video game world that like his son created or something when his parents got divorced.
Damn.
This
sounds
is
so good.
This is so much. This is a stronger piece.
Okay, Jack Dunphy, I'm on the page. Does he do animated stuff? Is Serenity
Yeah,
animated?
animated. He's incredible.
So what did you watch that you want to recommend specifically?
Serenity.
Oh, Serenity is the one. Okay.
And then all of his shorts are amazing.
That's it?
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
a
for
lot.
hosting.
It was a great time.
Do you guys have plugs before we cut out?
Let's plug ScreenVomit.
Well, people have already made it here, but thank you.
We'll do it.
Folks, jumping in here in post to help the Kings out with their plugs. We recorded for a very long time and we struggled near the end, so you can find their short films Sharon 66, Hannah and April, and Bergmensch on Jordan's Vimeo and YouTube channels. Sharon 66 was also on No Budge. They're currently promoting their feature, Hannah Haha, which is doing festivals. You can find out where that's playing by following Hannah Haha Movie on Instagram. You can also follow Jordan on Instagram at Jordan_Tetewsky. And I believe that is all the plugs for them. And look out for what they're cooking up in the future, because it sounds like they're cooking up something. Okay, back to the show.
We're both on Letterboxd, and Letterboxd is just incredible.
Drop the names. What are your names on Letterboxd?
Jordan loves to argue with people in the comments of our movie on Letterboxd and explain to them that actually every shot is perfectly in focus. So if you want to get into it with Jordan in the comments, go to our Letterboxd, Hannah Haha, give the movie either 1 or 5 stars, and leave a comment
Yeah,
about
we're not looking for.
we don't want
any of
3s.
those
We want 1s or
bullshits.
5s,
We want the weighted average either going up or down.
Yeah,
we don't want it to.
Jordan
stay
leaves
the same.
beautiful reviews on his own movies.
yeah, he loves reviewing his own movies. He loves arguing with people and calling people out in the comments.
Josh, do you need to keep your Letterboxd anonymous, or can I?
You can
it?
share it.
Wolf Roy, it's an incredible, and I love it. It's a great
It's
it's a great profile with great reviews.
yeah, it's not.
Some of which get deleted, so make sure you screenshot them. And,
Yeah, I didn't use it until very recently, but Jordan made me get it so I could give our movies 5 stars on it, and so
You gotta have it if you're a film freak.
yeah, I've come to realize that.
It's great for finding too, like not
Definitely.
just for rating, but like I find so much on there. I've
Yeah.
evangelized enough about Letterboxd, but I love it.
it's very good.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Hell yeah! So check out all that crap.
Mhm.
We can end the pod now. Thank you guys for joining me on the pod and for sitting with me for over 3
Of
hours.
course. Thank you for hosting. If you want to make it a quick edit, just don't edit, That's how I go about things.
This will be a quick turnaround. All right, so we've said thanks. All right, see everybody next week. Bye. Are you guys being shy now?
No, I'm a extrovert. I've never been shy.
Extrovert.
I love that.
Is that not how it's pronounced, Josh? It's not
I think people
extrovert.
I think people say extrovert, like just a little, I don't think they emphasize the O so much,
Yeah, how embarrassing. You said it wrong.
I'd like to leave that in.
Okay. Yeah, tell me throughout recording, just like tell me
Yeah.
what you want to leave in and what you want out, and we'll see where the Lord
Yeah,
takes
Jordan's
us,
going to
but-
be telling you how to do your job the whole time. So, he's going to be micromanaging and directing.
Yeah, are you directing my podcast?
Yeah, he's always.
I'm actually the lesser director, as we like to say.
Oh yeah.
Josh always says that.
Damn it, that's not true. That's a lie.